Welcome to the 452nd episode of the Random Podcast from Heck. My name is Tony, and this is the podcast about random things in the world of entertainment, which includes movies, TV shows, and comic books. Big shout out to Andrew Loken. He is a big, awesome supporter. You can be a supporter by going to patreon.com/gmanfromheck. Any amount you can commit to will be awesome. If you commit at the Rick Jones tier or higher, you get access to the secret podcast from Heck, which is an additional 30-ish minutes additional podcast entertainment every single week. I've been doing a lot of Silver Age look-backs, DC Comics Silver Age, weird, wacky covers. Sometimes I do Off My Minds. I haven't decided what I'm going to do this week. I got to think about that. But if you can't commit to a monthly commitment, you can also help out by going to coffee.com/gmanfromheck, and you can buy me a virtual cup of coffee or 3. That's ko-fi.com/gmanfromheck. Okay, what is going on this week? If you've looked at the podcast cover, you know. I will say, okay, we got 2 more episodes of Star Wars Maul, Shadow Lord. We got an episode of Daredevil, Born Again. Pretty cool episode. We have another episode of Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. That shows that's getting crazy. We're getting close to the end of the season. We got comics, we got news. But what about the movie feature? So there wasn't a whole lot that came out this week. Michael came out, the Michael Jackson biopic, whatever you want to call it. And I debate about that, but I was like, I don't know if I need to see it, because it's such a weird thing. I mean, let's just put this out there. What is the deal? How are we supposed to feel about Michael Jackson? King of Pop. A lot of people. He's got great music. He changed things. He really revolutionized whatever pop music, or so many hits. He had I'm assuming not the best childhood. There's all the different stuff, like the way he was raised and what was how he was treated and stuff like that drove him to make certain decisions and all that. But the big thing that I haven't mentioned yet, what about these allegations against him? And that is something that is not going to be mentioned. I don't even think I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. Let's just say that. I haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure there's not even a hint of the allegations. And, of course there's a question, is do we need to see that? If this is a celebration of him, but also if it's supposed to be a biography, that is a part of it. So I feel like we don't have any answers. I feel like there's so many people that are like, yes, he's guilty. No, he's not. Leave him alone. I don't know what it is. And part of it is because he's no longer with us. I don't know if we'll ever know. We've had some, I don't even know how many. We've had a few people that have stepped forward and made allegations, but I hate to say it, you just never know. Because, there are a lot of people that have also said, no, absolutely nothing happened. I think like Corey Feldman, he was friends, or Macaulay Culkin. And, I give credit to Macaulay Culkin for being a child actor. As far as I know, he's got his head on straight. He survived. He did not, suffer. I mean, I don't know what he suffered. I don't know what it was like. But he seems like, he wasn't damaged by the industry that sometimes happens. So, what's the story? So because of whatever, I just did a search, a Google search. How many people have made allegations against Michael Jackson? And so as I was saying, the unfortunate thing is, it's so hard to know if they're true or not, because these allegations. I haven't spent a lot of time researching this. We had the one documentary, but it's like I'm seeing here. 4 members of the Casio family have filed a lawsuit alleging abuse, because there's prominent case. I'm not going to read through all these, but there's the ones that were in the one leaving Neverland. So there's now the number of primary accusers in major public cases is 8. The question is, what does this mean if it's a lawsuit about this? Are they trying to sue the estate? And is it to get money? you know, and you can't put a price on getting abused, and I don't know. It's one thing, like, if this and you know, if it happened, it should be known. But is that enough? Maybe, because, you know, at least the world knows that you suffered this, that you're wrong, that this person isn't the saint that a lot of people may make him out to be. But I can't speak on it, because, you know, the other thing also, the man is no longer with us. And, you know, you could get, you know, I'm sure it's important to set the record straight. And I would imagine, like, you know, when I did go to the movie this week, it's like they're playing nonstop Michael Jackson music. And I could imagine, you know, like, what if you were one of the unfortunate, if you were abused, you're in the grocery store or whatever, it's like, what, you're going to get, like, flashbacks? And I can't even imagine. I don't want to imagine. No one should have to deal with that. But as we saw, like, in the documentary, and it's so long. When was this? I don't remember when the documentary was. 2019 feels like it was so much long back than that. But a lot of the times, like, the families were allowing their children to spend alone time with Michael Jackson. Does that mean that they're, like, liable as well? And, you know, so that's not fair to the children. If you get caught up in the glitz, you're like, oh yeah, great, you want to be friends with our kid? That's awesome. You're gonna take us on a trip, or I don't know. So it says, Jackson denied all allegations throughout his life, and his estate continues to deny the claims, often labeling them as civil extortion schemes or posthumous character assassination. I don't know if we'll ever know, because, you know, he was on trial, and you know, there's different things, but that being said, that's not part of the movie. So for me, it's still, you know, and I know this is like such a long, like, intro or whatever, but I know sometimes some people say, you know, you separate the art from the artist, but that's just a hard thing. It's like, you know, do you want to support someone who's done something like that? I mean, I wouldn't want to. I don't want to. So it's hard. But the fact that we don't know, and so what do? We say, well, we don't know for sure. You know, and there is innocent until proven guilty. I don't know. And I don't know what all the facts are, what's all been said and described and on record and all that. So it just makes it, yeah, I don't know if I want to see this. The other part of me is, while the trailer looked good, you know, the depictions that, what's his name? Is it Jafar? Jafar Jackson? Yeah. So Jafar Jackson, every time I talk about it, I kept saying he was his cousin. No, he's Michael Jackson's nephew. So he does a great job from what you see in the trailer. And some of the things I've seen about some of those little snippets of the reviews, because, you know, I was curious, because I was like, I'm not going to see this movie, and, you know, because there's another reason. And it sounds like it's just a bunch of performance. It's like, do I need to see just a bunch of clips, like recreations of big, you know, performance, big moments or whatever? You know, we got the regular ones, and yeah, there's going to be seeing it on a big screen and the sound and all that. You know, that's all cool, and like the local-ish theater had it in Screen X. So, but then I was like, do you need to see in Screen X? See audience people on the sides, or I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I feel about the Screen X thing. You know, whatever. But that's a different story. So I decided not to go see the movie. Now, looking at the Rotten Tomatoes score, because when I first started looking, like, on, the first review I saw was on my Facebook. I saw IGN gave it like a 30 out of 100 or whatever. So it's like, wow. And then I was like, okay, so reviews are starting to come out, and then leading up to Thursday, it's kind of hovered around, I think it was at a 35%, and then it moved. It's right now, as I look at it, it's like a 39. I don't remember if it made it to 40 and dropped back down, but right as of now, it's 39% based off 199 reviews. And, you know, take reviews with a grain of salt. You know, I don't necessarily agree with them. Just like, you know, with Lee Cronin's The Mummy, I did not agree with the critics. That's fine. I really think, and I say this all the time, if you follow reviews, if this means anything to you, if you know that's what you're going to use to make your decision, it's not, you could look at stuff like Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes is aggregate score. This is saying 39% of the critics gave it a favorable review. It is not saying that someone gave it a 39%, although IGN gave it a 30 apparently. So what I always say is figure out who you can trust. What outlet, what reviewer, what source. And it's helpful if you get a feeling what they like and what they don't like. And I, using myself as an example, I don't know if, I don't really consider myself like an actual critic. And that was always, I don't know, it was always a weird thing. But I guess I was at one point. Am I still? I don't know. But I was, like for me, I love Sam Raimi movies. And it's not that I would be totally biased, like, okay, no matter what it is, it's going to get a great review. Not necessarily, but most likely because I like his style and his energy and his vibe and all that, I'm probably going to enjoy it. That's going to be reflected. Or if you look at like those type of movies, and you know what I like and what I don't like. For me, what's a big struggle? The old-timey stuff. There could be some good stuff. I might not like it as much as the regular average person, but I'm not going to like hold a grudge like, oh, this is taking place in olden days, I'm not going to like it. So, but, I feel like that's the important thing. So the critics score on Rotten Tomato is a 39%, but the popcorn meter is a 97%. 97% based off of 2,500 plus verified ratings. That's a lot. And you always have to, they're verified ratings. Are they really verified? Is it completely legit? Maybe, because, they've been fighting, trying to resist review bombs and bots and stuff like that. But still, how is it verified? You have an actual account, but I don't know. So audience likes this, but when you think about this as well, who is going to see this movie? People who are fans of Michael Jackson are going to see it. If you do not like Michael Jackson, if you feel the allegations are something to think about, whatever, you're not going to go see it. Is there going to be like the average person like, I don't know anything, who's Michael Jackson, or I don't care one way or the other, but yeah, I'll go see this movie. So I feel like most people that are going to watch this are going to like it. Just like when you look at the horror movies, the critics might not like it, but the audience usually does, because who is going to see the horror movies? People who enjoy horror movies. Because of that, I'm not going to see it. And I look at this, while it could be cool to see it on the big screen, I don't feel like I need to see it on the big screen. I don't know if I actually need to see the movie at all. I'm curious, but I don't think it's going to happen. This has been, boohoo Tony, here it comes. This has been a crazy week. I had, we got parent conferences, so it's a lot of time after school. Okay, here's the full thing. I had facilities meeting one day, which ended up being 2 hours. I tutored one night, which went a little longer. I had negotiations, which went okay, and again, just conferences. So I feel like I'm a little behind. I'm scrambling. I'm recording this later than usual, which hopefully is not going to mean I'm going to fall asleep during. I'm feeling okay so far. So I ended up not going to the movie on Thursday night like I usually do. What I did do is, and this is obviously the movie feature. How long has this been going on? Oh my gosh, I can't believe this is so long to get into this. And I was like, I got to do this quick because it's so late. The movie feature is Fight Club. What? So as you may or may not know, Fight Club, the 4K remaster, is being released in May 12th, I believe, off the top of my head. I'll get it correct later when I talk about it. And it's on a steelbook, and the steelbook looks really cool. I do have a Fight Club steelbook, but it's a Blu-ray, and it's an okay design. It's one of the posters, whatever, and I also have it on DVD. But this steelbook looks cool, and it's 4K, so I was like, heck yeah, I love this movie so much. And when I saw that it was playing nearby, I'm like, wow, I don't have to go to the city. I didn't even know they were releasing it in theaters. So I was like, I'm going to go see that. So I went to see that on Wednesday night. I was like, okay, I'm going to see that. I don't know if that would be, does it make sense to do Fight Club, a movie from 1999, as a movie feature? But then I was like, well, maybe it will be, because, the big thing, if you were into the movie, when was the last time you saw it? So, the question is, does it still hold up? The question, that might be obvious. But how is the 4K? And, how is it on a big screen? How is the sound? Has Tony seen it in the big screen before or not? What is he going to think? So you can hear all that stuff later. So that's going to be the movie feature, is just going to talk about it, and also just stuff about the movies. I've seen this movie so many times, and it always just like surprises me when I watch it. So we'll talk about that. We should get into news. There was a teaser trailer for Clayface. It looks good. It looks like a horror movie. Obviously, I mean it's more like that. I'm reminded a little of like Tom Cruise in Vanilla Sky, which I love that movie. So it could be interesting. Prove me wrong, and I will admit that I'm wrong. A big part of me is like, do we really need this Clayface movie? Like, what's going on? What is this about? It looks like it's gonna be cool. It is something different. It's just, to me, I feel like it's a weird choice, and it's also interesting with the way Clayface has been portrayed in the Harley Quinn series. It's like, okay, he's not being taken seriously. But then we have Clayface in Creature Commandos. And from what I remember, and I'm trying to remember because I got so much of the Harley Quinn version stuck in my head, but I feel like, it was a little more serious. And that's something, so the trailer looks good, let's just say that. But then the other question is, because Clayface was in Creature Commandos in this, is there a connection? And apparently, yes, probably, because there was like a comment, I don't know if it was on Twitter threads or something like that. Someone's like, oh, can we, I guess we can assume that it's the same Clayface as the Creature Commandos. And James Gunn liked that post. So whether he actually did or someone on his team or whatever. So we have that. And, he's always said that it's, the animated stuff and the TV shows and the movies are connected. There was a matter, I meant to look at this up. There's a matter of like where this falls in the timeline. I think this might take place before, because I thought I saw some headline saying this is the first movie in the DC whatever universe. So I don't know about that, but that's out there somewhere. Okay, we'll see. What about X-Men 97? I'm trying to remember like when it was announced. We're going to get this every year. And how long has it been since season 2? It's been more than a year. Has it been 2 years? Time flies so much. Sometimes I'm always like so surprised by what happens. But there's still no premiere date, unless I missed it and it came out, whatever, when I wasn't looking. But there's no premiere date. There is going to be a premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival, apparently, which is on June 13th, 2026. So they're going to show it. I'm assuming they'll probably show like a couple episodes or something like that, or I don't know. And that could mean that we'll probably get it shortly after that. Maybe I don't know what day the 13th is on, but either on the 13th or 14th or 15th or, the next week. So they're probably going to premiere it there, and then we'll get to see it. So we'll have to see about that. Now, what do you know? I don't know much about this. The Last Airbender animated movie. So there's supposed to be, apparently I wish I was more into Airbender. I did not watch I think was it on Nickelodeon? Is it a Nickelodeon cartoon, or was it distributed by Nickelodeon? Was it originally is it a Japanese anime? I don't know all this stuff about that. I know I could so easily look this up, but I'm not, because I feel like that's fake. I do not have all the answers. I don't want to pretend that I have all the answers to everything. But it came out at a time when I missed it. I wasn't. I don't know if originally I thought it's like, oh, this is a kid's thing. I know my daughter knows. She knows more about it than I do. It's like, but whatever. So apparently there's going to be a movie that takes place after the series. It's like, I don't know how much time. And it leaked online. Someone leaked it. I think it was like on Twitter or something like that. And it's supposed to. So I guess originally it was going to show in theaters. I don't know if the leak had anything to do with it, but now I think it's just going to be on Paramount Plus. But it's a horrible. It's like, why would you leak something like that? And there's always questions like, how did that happen? So apparently, they figured out who did it, or allegedly did it. Singapore police, they seized like a bunch of electronic devices from some suspect, and there's evidence or whatever. So this is the part that I like, and you may not agree with me, but this suspect could face up to 7 years in prison plus potential fine of up to $50,000. So I know, say what you will about Paramount, buying Warner Brothers and big, huge, corporation, evil corporation, I don't know. But I don't feel we are entitled to free stuff. I don't understand when people, the other thing, okay, like, segue, the other thing that gets me is like when I see an article on Facebook or Threads or something like that, I guess it's more of a Facebook thing, where they're usually a little clickbaity. And sometimes there'll be like a sponsored or not, whatever, a suggested post. It's usually something that I don't follow, but there are a lot of times, and it could be like Variety, it could be, whatever, Hollywood Reporter, it could be Joe Schmo, whatever. But a lot of times there's these articles where it's like, oh, I'm kind of interested in that. So what do? You go to the comments and see what it is. And then there's some people who are like, oh, don't click it. Here, I'll save you a click. It's really about this. And yeah, it is extremely annoying when you have this post on there and you don't have the answer. It's like, I don't want to have to click and go somewhere else. But at the same time, by giving a click, you are helping that outlet, whoever posted that. Okay, because if you click it, they're going to get the page view. The page view helps with advertising rates and so forth, all that stuff. So I don't understand when people are so negative about this. It's like, I don't want to click that. But it's like, okay, you're obviously interested in this news. And why do you feel entitled that you should get this news absolutely free? Okay, because someone found this news, discovered the news, established contact to get the news, spent time, paid someone to write this up. Maybe it was written by AI, I don't know. And you don't want to give it a click to read it. Now, the thing that's annoying is when you do give a click and the site is like ads, and you can't even read it. And it's just like, okay, just screw it, forget it, I don't care. I can't even read it without all these videos and stuff popping in my face. So you have that. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, we're talking about Last Airbender, right? So it's the same thing. Some people will pirate movies. Some people they'll pirate anything, and I don't feel that we are owed anything. It's like I don't want to even say it. I don't want to give any suggestions, but I got my Patreon podcast, the secret podcast. I would hope that no one's is posting it anywhere, but because I need that. That's such a small amount of income that I get off those. Is, I need it because like this podcast, obviously I do not charge for this. I spend so much time preparing this podcast, and I spend a lot of money to have the podcast hosted and going to the movies and just everything. But that's how podcasts are. And I guess eventually they can be profitable. This is not profitable. And well, I shouldn't say anything, but it's like, okay, how long do I keep this going? That's a question. I hate to even think about that, but that's a reality. So I don't care how big of a corporation or whatever, evil or not, Paramount is, the stuff shouldn't be pirated. There are so many people that worked on it, and they should get paid for it. And if you pirate stuff like this, we are not going to get stuff like that. Because no matter how many billions or gajillions of dollars a corporation have, they're not going to just make things for free. If it is not profitable, then they are not going to continue it. Do we want more Last Airbender movies? Like if this is successful, if it's a huge blockbuster, they would probably make another one. They're like, hey, we need to do more of these. But because how many people watched it when it was leaked? And again, I didn't even hear about this. So if all these people watch it, then they're like, well, why do I need to watch it then if I already saw it? So I'm all for it. You're gonna pirate it, then that's on you. Enola Holmes 3. I shouldn't even mention this. A release date has been set. I don't know what it is because I was not going to click on any article that has anything to do with Enola Holmes. I didn't even see the second one. I know people like it. My students like it. I'm not. I know I'm not going to like it. But there's a third one coming for you. And see, that's the thing. If you like it, that is fine. I'm not saying you're wrong or whatever. That is just me personally. So if you like the first and the second one, the first one, it was okay. I don't even remember what the story, the mystery or whatever it was. But there's another one coming. We also have, so we got that live action Scooby-Doo that's going to happen, Scooby-Doo Origins, and an image was released. So we can see the full cast. It's like an homage to one of the original Image. They're all popping their heads around the corner or whatever, except we don't have Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo's not in it. At first I was like, did they Spider-Man, I always get the Spider-Man movies, Far From Home, no, whatever it was. The one where, they digitally erased Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield from the trailer and it looked kind of silly. I was like, did they just erase Scooby-Doo in this? But maybe not, because apparently the story, there's like some mystery around a lost Great Dane puppy who may have like witnessed a supernatural murder. So, poor Scooby-Doo, if he's a puppy. But I feel like they're probably not going to show us Scooby-Doo until the last possible moment. I mean, eventually they're going to have to. You can't advertise a Scooby-Doo movie without showing Scooby-Doo. Because the question is Scooby-Doo going to be all CG? Do they have a trained dogs? Probably not. Because if Scooby-Doo is going to be talking, he's probably going to be CG. And if it is CG, how is that CG going to look? Is it going to look real, or is it going to be like totally like, oh my gosh, what's going on? What's their budget? Because apparently CG is not cheap. I don't know. So we have that to look for. I don't think there's a date or anything for that, but I'll check it out. I really like Scooby-Doo. It holds a special place in my heart, so I'll check it out. Oscar Isaac was on what was it called? The Happy Joy something podcast or something, whatever. But he said that Marvel's been that there's been some interesting talk at Disney and Marvel about a potential Midnight Suns movie. What I want to know, I don't know if there's ever been any word, why the heck haven't we had a Moon Knight season 2? And I, maybe unfairly, I always say it's probably Oscar Isaac's fault. He's probably busy. Although I don't know what he's been working on lately. Because it seemed like after Moon Knight, he's had like different projects that he's been working on. Maybe he is and I'm just like missing it. I don't remember. But I always felt like it was him being busy. And I was like, why the heck did you cast a busy actor who's not going to be able to commit to, doing another one right away? Even Tom Hiddleston, he did, 2 seasons of Loki? And, he does like other stuff all the time. So it really bothers me because, I love Moon Knight so much. I always said, he's my favorite Marvel character. But it's like, we're not getting anything. And, it's like, I look at it, it's like, what's going on with him? Time is passing in a Marvel universe, and it's just harder because we have so few movies now, and we have so few Disney Plus series, that it's like, what is happening? What is going on now? We don't know anything. We had Thunderbolts. What was before Thunderbolts? Because, Fantastic Four doesn't count. Wonder Man, how long ago was that? I think they started that before the writer's strike or whatever. So I don't know what's going on in the Marvel universe. Yeah. So we'll see. I would like more Moon Knight, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm disappointed with the way it's happening. While I enjoyed the season, I was so glad we had it. It wasn't completely, totally what I wanted, but they did a good job on it. So Yeah, I'll support. I mean, I bought it. That's the thing. I bought it on 4K Steelbook. I'm sure that's the Tony mark of approval, stamp of approval, whatever. So it was good enough-ish. We have that. Remember, I feel like this isn't new. I know I've mentioned this. There's a Hard Eyes 2 happening. That's not news. It's like, why are people talking about it again? Maybe because it's going to be 2028. I think maybe what I said last time is that Olivia Holt and what's the dude's name? They're in talks or something like that about returning, and now it's official. So it's going to happen. Going to come out in 2028, which that seems like far off, because you look, a lot of times they make these movies like. Is Resident Evil coming out this year? I mentioned that last week, I was like, is it coming out in September? Because I feel like if they can make how long have they been working on Resident Evil? Because we had Weapons, and then I was like, the next movie is going to be Resident Evil, and maybe he's been working on Resident Evil before. But I feel like sometimes you can make things go quickly. It all depends on the nature of the movies, like how long does filming take, how much post-production is required. So it's just for Hard Eyes, I don't know how long does it take to make that. But Olivia Holt's doing a lot of stuff, so maybe she's busy and maybe the dude's busy. I don't know. We'll have to see. The other thing we have is Evil Dead Burn. A teaser trailer came out, so we finally have a date, July 10th. And oh my goodness, what the heck is going on in this trailer? If you have not seen it, I don't even know, as I'm watching it, I'm like, what am I supposed to say about this on a podcast? How do I even describe it? It's like, what's happening? There's this woman screaming. She's like in an apartment or something like that. There's this thudding going on. You see like bodies flying and getting picked up. People are scrambling. They're getting picked up and thrown about or whatever. And she's like clearly injured, and she's like trying to crawl away, and she's not getting picked up. She's not getting grabbed, and she's like, it's kind of intense. It's kind of like what's happening here, and I know nothing. I don't even know if they've released any information, like what is the story about, whatever, and it's just yeah. So I'm going to watch the heck out of that when it comes out. So July 10th, mark your calendar. I'll be talking about it. And then the last bit of news, which it's like, why couldn't this come out like a couple weeks from now? So we have Stranger Things Tales from 85, the kind of animated, CG animated Stranger Things Netflix show. So I think there's 8 episodes. They're out now. I would have liked to have watched them and talk about them. And I know I still can, but then it's like one of those, the Tony issues, like, okay, if this has been out already, does it make sense to talk about it? And it's just like The Boys. I still have not watched a single episode of The Boys. I was like, okay, it's a weekend. I'm going to try to catch up. I can't even watch stuff over the weekend. I got no time. It takes me so long to edit this, and I just dilly-dally sometimes and just doing stuff, and then, having the great papers and do lesson plans. So Stranger Things out. I do want to watch it. When's that going to happen? I don't know. But let's move on, because again, this was I guess it wasn't that bad. But that is the news for the week. All right, with comic books, I don't know if I've read everything. At Image, there's Exquisite Corpses number 12. I need to get caught up on that majorly. I'm so desperate. I need to read that, because I do like that, or I did like it. Maybe it's turned and I don't know. But issue 12 is out. So and that's crazy. It's like, man, when was the last issue I read? And like, what the heck has been going on? I don't know. We had G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, one of the silent missions. It was on Copperhead. So this is by Howard Porter. I think he wrote and drew it. So we got some cool art. I really dig his style. Was he on? I'm trying to remember what it was. Was it Flash or Justice League that he had a big run? But we got Copperhead, and at first I'm like, Copperhead, but then I was like, oh no, wait, Copperhead, because I remember he had that boat, and I remember having that action figure. And it was all green. I like green. I was like, that's pretty cool. And he had that, he's always wearing that mask. So I was like, this is kind of a cool guy. What's the story? And I realized I don't really know his story. I think is he from Florida? Alligators or anything, I don't know what I'm thinking about. But so when I was like, oh wait, Copperhead, yeah, that's cool, because I love that action figure. I love that little boat, that J. Joe boat. I started quote unquote reading because it's a silent issue, and it felt long. I'm like going through, because usually you kind of speed through these. I'm going through, then it gets points where it's like, wait, what's going on? And then it got to a point where I'm like, I can't. I'm not going to finish this right now. It's too much other stuff to read. So I couldn't even get through the silent issue that usually goes by so fast. So I didn't read that. But that was it. That's all I read at Image. And I don't think there wasn't any, unless I missed it, but there's nothing at Dynamite, and there wasn't any Speed Racer or Gotchaman or anything. So yeah, that was it. So at Marvel, we had Amazing Spider Carnage number 9, or is it number 9? No, part 9, 27, whatever legacy number this is. I don't even know. So this is one of the I think it's Death Spiral Part 9. I'm okay with this story arc. It's interesting. I hate Carnage. I hate all the symbiotes. I don't like that Carnage knows all the secrets now, knows who Spider-Man is, knows who Venom is now, and everything. But it's an interesting story arc, and we'll see where it's going to go. What I'm really curious about is what does this mean for Peter and Mary Jane? Because obviously, I want them together. And now that, because I feel like the biggest problem before, I know I've talked about this. I know I did an off in my mind about it. And I think the biggest problem is by her being a civilian, it would make it hard. And I don't want to just reiterate whatever I must have said. I don't remember what I've said. I don't know if this is one that's for sale. It should be for sale. So on Patreon, you can buy like Off My Minds. I put those up for sale. So I should make sure it's available. But I feel like so many times what she do is like she's sitting at home while Spider-Man goes off to fight Mysterio or Scorpion or whatever. And then she just has to sit and wonder, it's like, gee, I hope he's okay. I hope he comes back. And then sometimes he'll come back all bruised or whatever. So it's just, it's like, okay, what is her role? What kind of story? How can we incorporate her? What is she going to do? And then every once in a while they could find something. Now that she's got the Venom symbiote, and it is even when she had the jackpot power, it's like, okay, that kind of levels thing, puts them on the same level a bit, where she could become part of that world. And I'm not talking about Aladdin. So she's not doesn't have to sit at home. She can go out, fight crime or whatever, and at the same time, with Venom, we don't have to worry about Paul. I feel like Paul had such a like no fanfare with his exit, and it's just like, okay, everyone hates you, Paul. See you later. And we barely even got that. And I shouldn't be laughing. Oh, man. I was going to say best thing of 2026. That's so horrible. Oh. Should we have a moment of silence for Paul? A moment of silence for Paul's man bun? No, I don't think we're going to do that. I did get up and for a second there, but because the heat, the whatever was like turning on, and it's just too loud. So yeah, we'll see where this is going to go. I mean, there's definitely. I think this is the end. I don't even remember. I just read it, but yeah, it was fine. So we'll see. But okay, here's the other thing. We just had this big long Spider-Man in space. he's gonna become stronger and everything like that. And it's just like he comes back to Earth with an alien girlfriend and this like alien suit, and he's supposed to be stronger. And then it's like, wait, okay, sorry, you can't be on Earth. I don't remember. Was there like whatever, the atmosphere wasn't compatible? Did they leave already, or are they still at the Baxter building? I don't even know. And so it's like, wait, wasn't he training to become like stronger and everything like that? And he can't even fight this Torment. Who the heck is this Torment guy? Like whatever. He like steals a Shocker gauntlet from Shocker, and in fact that he kills Shocker. And the shocking news about who Shocker was related to is like, wait, what? Oh man, so yeah, well, I don't even know I don't remember like what the next issue is. What's going to happen? Oh wait, I did not read this. Did I read? I don't know if I read everything. I do want to read this now if I think about if it is what I think about it. The Amazing Spider-Man Spider-Versity. Which I hate all these different names. We got all these spider people on the covers, but because there's Norman Osborn in the background, so I think this is what we seen like alluded in the recent issue where Norman is he's meeting with Miles Morales, and he's like, I want to work with you. I want to train you to defeat me. So I feel like there's two things there. One, he's trying to do the right thing. He wants to make sure that they're equipped to take on any dangers, take on the foes. And maybe a part of him also, he's like, if I ever turn evil, I want to make sure you guys can stop me, because I don't want that to happen. I don't want to do bad things. So I will definitely read that after at some point. We had Captain America #9. This is continuing Doom Shadow Part 4. So, Captain America and some other soldiers, people went to Latveria at the request of Nick Fury Jr. and S.H.I.E.L.D. and trying to make sure there's no dangerous weapons and Doom, since Doom is gone. But then there's different factions that are trying to take control of Latveria, and part of it is like, well, we can't get involved because it's whatever. But Cap's like, no, it's too bad. It's like, I am going to get involved. So we got that to deal with. Cyclops #3. So Cyclops, his Quinjet crashed. We got the stupid Donald Pierce and the Reavers. Cyclops' visor got busted, so he's walking around with like a blindfold on because he can't control his optic blast. And there's some mutants that are being used and held captive. And Cyclops has come across this girl, and she's very angry and stuff like that. And like here, she's talking about, it's like, I couldn't go to Krakoa and everything. And now, because at first she was very like anti like everything, whatever they're doing. But now, from when I was quickly trying to read this issue, she was mad because she wanted to go to Krakoa. But I think her parents said that she had to wait or something like that. And then she's like, and then you took it away from me or whatever. And it's like, what? But then the thing is, they come, they're trying to go to the crashed Quinjet because I think Cyclops is like, well, I got my ruby quartz sunglasses there, so I need something so I can see. And then there's some Reavers there, like, oh, look at these red glasses and stuff like that. It's like, and Cyclops is like helpless. He can't do anything. But this girl should be like, okay, I'm going to stand behind you. Open your eyes and just blast the crap out of him. And he does unleash, but it's like, come on, you're just going to sit there and the thing is also because, Cyclops, he's such a strategist, he's such a leader, he is a powerful mutant regardless of what the effects of his power, that fluctuated, I feel like, depending on the writer. But, he's so skilled because that's just what he does. He's been doing this as like almost his whole life. So I feel like let's knock him down a few pegs and have it so he can't use his visor. I get it. It's supposed to make, because otherwise he would just go and take them all out probably, right? But it's like, whatever. I don't care for that. There's Hulk smash everything. Then there's Infernal Hulk #6. This is so hard for me to read. I mean, so you got, I guess that's Tony Stark. I don't even remember this being set up in the last issue. I thought it ended where like Bruce and Betty were going to go try to do something to stop this evil whatever entity that has Hulk's body. But now we got like Iron Man's trying to fight him, and this big, huge. It's like, what's the point of some of this stuff? There's a big Hulkbuster armor, and there's like all this other stuff. I don't even know. I'm not enjoying it, and it bums me out. We had the all new, all spectacular Spider-Man, Superman #1. Is it just that's what it's called? It's not and Superman. My problem with this is it felt so long. I think it's like 60 pages or 70 pages. We have all these stories, and they're cool. We got a lot of. I'm going to go through the team. So, but the problem is there's like no connection, and I guess we don't need the connection between them. But there's so many parts. It's like, okay, they know who each other are. Like what we had in I didn't never finish the DC, the Superman Spider-Man comic, where some of it felt like it was established that they're in the same world. Here, there's some that establishes like they don't know who each other are, but there's no explanations like why they're together. So we had a story by Brad Meltzer and Pepe Larraz, and this was a touching story. It plays to the strength of who Spider-Man is, who Superman is, and stuff they can do, and so it was nice. There's Spider-Man Noir and Superman by Dan Slott, Marcos Martin. That's cool because the art style and it sets a different thing. We have Gwen Stacy and Lana Lang by Joe Kelly and Humberto Ramos. So again, we got these like great creative teams that are really doing something. The story, it was fine. It was fun. It was interesting. The fact that let's go back and look at, and at first I was like, why are they doing like Gwen and Lana? And I guess it's supposed to be like Spider-Man's first girlfriend and Superman's first girlfriend. Then we have, this was a weird one, Mysterio versus Superman, and featuring The Thing and more. So it's like Spider-Man wasn't even here. But the weird thing, the other thing is like, wait, what? This was by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank and Brad Anderson. I'm like, what? Holy crap! So that was cool, but it was definitely like a different story. Then there's a Hobgoblin versus Steel, written by Louise Simonson with art by Todd Knock. So I enjoy Hobgoblin, seeing Hobgoblin. So that was interesting. Ghost Spider and Supergirl by Stephanie Phillips and Phil Noto. See, look at this. How can you not want to read these? Then there's Miles Morales and Superman. This is Brian Michael Bendis and Sarah Pichelli. It was okay. I hate to say it. I mean, it's great to get the creative team back on Miles Morales, but yeah. Symbiotes and Metropolis. I didn't really read this one. I think I kind of skimmed through it. Jason Aaron, Russell Dodderman. Oh wait, no, this was Jane Foster Thor, and I don't remember who it was. Who else was in there? And then there's Spider-Man and Superman by Jeff Loeb and Jim Chung. And I think that one was kind of like, it was like a fast read, that story. So it's cool and all, but that's it. It's I don't know. Mark Spector, Moon Knight #3. So Moon Knight versus Bushman. It's good. It's fine. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like something's missing. I don't know, and it's kind of. I'm trying not to worry, let it get to me. But I want to know, like, how many series now has Jed McKay done? How many times have they ended it, and then the next month or 2 months, a new series? It's just like, come on. You got Rogue #4. Not reading that. Sentry #2. Wait, only #2? I feel like I thought I read at least 2 issues. 'Cause I guess I only read the first issue. I didn't get around to that. I didn't love the first issue, but I am curious. I probably will, try to remember to go back and read that. Sorcerer Supreme #5. So Wanda and Clea. I didn't read that. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Echoes of the Empire. I started reading this and I was a little confused. I was running out of time because we're seeing like some different points in time. Because like in the beginning, there's someone shows up. It's like it's not who you think it is, and then later we see Luke Skywalker. So this is what I mentioned before, like Luke Skywalker meeting Boba Fett. So it was fine. Then that was all I read because there's Wolverine 19. Wolverine's fighting Hercules. It's like why? I don't know if this is still continuing that Silver Sable. Yeah, I didn't read that. And then Wade Wilson, Deadpool number 3. I think I need a break from Deadpool, because the first 2 issues, I haven't loved those. I hate to say. At DC, here's a weird thing. So again, because of time, because this was a horrible week, busy week, I feel like I had even less time than normal to read. But there's Absolute Wonder Woman, and I was reading it, and there's some interesting things, some stuff, but then I couldn't like dive into it. So I need to go back and read that. Superman number 37. So this is Joshua Williamson and Dan Mora. So we got Superboy Prime. He's kind of taking Superman's place because Superman's gone after DC KO fighting Darkseid or whatever. And there's something fun about this. In some ways, it's like, okay, Superboy Prime is being a little too much like Deadpool or Gwenpool. But, there's some interesting things here, and the art is just so amazing. And there's some fun things here. It's just a little too sometimes, but that's just who Superboy Prime is. The fact that he knows, in his world, he was reading comic books, so he knows all this stuff. Like there's one point where he's like, he mentions visiting all landmarks from comic books. So he goes to wait, what? Where was Crime Alley? I totally drew a blank on that. And then he meets up. Damien's there. He's like, "What are you doing here?" And yeah, so there's some interesting things there. Justice League Unlimited. I didn't read that. I thought I was going to. Oh, because then I was like, wait, Harley Quinn. What's going? Yeah, I didn't read that. Then we have Absolute Flash. We also had Absolute Flash 14. I am so curious, like what is going on with this. I would love at some point to just start with read from the beginning. I don't know. Maybe over the summer. I don't know. There's also Flash number 32. It's Ryan North. So I should just go back into it. Like when did he start reading it? Did I read the last issue? I don't remember if I did. I don't know how many issues Ryan North has been reading, but I feel like I did read an issue of Flash recently, and I was like confused because I haven't been reading it for a while. So I need to check up with that. There's also Green Lanterns 34. I haven't been reading that. Detective Comics 1108. This was good. It's interesting because one, it's Tom Taylor, so of course it's going to be good. Tom Taylor, Pete Woods, but we have Green Arrow and Black Canary like kind of hanging out or teaming up with Batman. And the Batmobile vehicle that Batman drives, I don't even want to spoil that, but that was fun. It was interesting, but it's cool seeing them working together because Batman, he's not a big Green Arrow fan, but it's nice to see them tolerating each other, working together. Because as much as Batman doesn't like Ollie, he does respect him on some level. So I like that they're working together. And then that is all I read. Wait, what's this? The Peril of the Brutal Dark? I don't know what that is. Harley and Ivy, Life and Crimes, and Harley Quinn 61. Apparently, some weird stuff happens to this Harley Quinn. I saw someone posted about it, and where I think we got the Bat Harley, and I think it's, I was like, wait, what's going on here? And it had something to do with after KO, DC KO, she was infected or affected in some ways, and I don't know what's going on. And then, so apparently she and Ivy have broken up recently, and then there's a whole thing, Ivy became the mayor of Gotham. How did that happen? So that must have happened I'm assuming in the Poison Ivy series, which I'm not reading. And because I think it was, I forget what comic it was. It was just last month, and we saw she's the mayor, and it's like, wait, what? So how did she become mayor? Did she legit like run and win by votes? Did she manipulate things? I don't know. So yeah, they apparently broke up. So, and maybe Harley's being Bat Harley because she wants to prove herself to, I don't know. What I do know is there's a lot more to talk about, but that is comic books for the week.
All right, Monarch, Season 2, Episode 8, Separate Ways. So we're getting close to the end. And it gets to this point where I start thinking, how are they going to end the season? You know, what sort of conclusion are they going to get? What sort of cliffhanger are they going to leave us with? And then it's like, how long are we going to have to wait till the third season? I mean, it didn't seem like it was that bad from first season to second season, but it's always a concern with these, shorter seasons. But whatever, get into it. Shaw's driving pretty erratically down this like sandy path, and we see he's in northeastern Australia. But it's like I start wondering, what kind of clearance does he have? How does he travel around so much? Because it's not like he's flying commercial, and he doesn't. I don't think he has a job, so he must have some. Does he have like Monarch credentials? Does he just have connections? I mean, he was in the service for a while, and what was he doing in between? So whatever. Eventually, he comes up like on a sand dune. Titan X is on the other side and like kind of moving about in the sand. It's looking out towards the sea. It almost looks like it's in pain. Like something's going on. Little critters are scurrying about. And then it looks like, are they digging in a hole? Like, what's going on here? And that's the thing. It's like, there's so much happening. It's like, what is happening? Outpost 18, Barris is there. I didn't realize, I must have forgotten. His first name is Reddick Barris. So the big, Monarch boss or whatever, he gets a call from the Secretary of State, and Barris says that the situation is evolving rapidly. And the Secretary is like, oh, you got the knack for the understatement, whatever. He said since it popped up, the Titan popped up in Australia's backyard, they're demanding that the U.S. make good on the Mutual Titan Defense Pact. Barris says that they both know that they haven't had much luck with the military option because they've thrown like everything they have at them. And the Secretary's like, not everything. So Barris like, sir, we did that once in Bikini Atoll. And the Secretary's like, well, technology is much more advanced since Castle Bravo. It's tactical, limited. And Barris is like, limited, sir? The fallout from that option is still the same in every sense of the word. And the he's like, where's the nearest population center? And Barris is like, about 10 miles inland. I'm in the process now of clearing everyone out, about 300 miles. Okay, then get a move on. Our assets are on the way. He's like, sir, what I'd like to say is, he's like, no. He's like, we have an opportunity here, Red. He's like, we're taking it. We don't have any other options. And he's like, yes, sir. Kay and Kate arrive on Outpost 18, like via helicopter. So, like, what kind of clearance do they have? They go with Tim to talk to Barris. But before they enter, Tim's like, he tells them to be cool. Kate, he's like, do you think he's going to believe us? And Tim's like, that you have an emotional connection to a monster? He's like, we won't lead with it. So Barris is a little surprised when he sees them. He's like, welcome aboard, Dr. Randa. He's like, I got people looking for you all over, and you just walk in through my door. He's like, I should have both of you escorted to asset management. Tim's like, no, I think you should listen to them, sir. And Kay's like, we just need a minute of your time. He's like, yeah, well, I don't have a minute. I have a Titan on the coast of Australia. And Kate's like, that's not your biggest problem. And Barris is like, and what is? Kay's like, Lee Shaw. And Barris is like, what does Colonel Shaw have to do with this? Tim's like, Shaw has a plan to deal with the Titan by himself. He's like, I know it's a little odd because he's usually such a team player. Kay's like, according to Dr. Suzuki, he's going to use a burst of concentrated gamma rays to attract another Titan to Titan X. Barris like, another Titan? And then dramatic music, close-up of Kate, Godzilla. So Shaw's driving down a dune to come up next to like Titan X from the side. He gets out and he goes like the back of the truck to start like looking at his equipment. Barris asks like one of the computer workers if they're picking up anything on a global network, any Titan activity at all other than, you know, what they're seeing there. Says person like Charlie says, no, sir. It's like the board's clear. Barris asks Tim, can he actually do it? Can Shaw call Godzilla? And Tim's like, no, look, Dr. Serizawa said that Godzilla was the king of the monsters. He's not going to do anything he doesn't want to do. And Kay's like, but there is precedent. We believe Godzilla showed up at Bikini Atoll because of the radiation emitted by the Castle Bravo H-bomb. Lee has a device that can simulate the same energy signature. And Kate's like, Titan bait. So Shaw opens up this like old wooden, like it almost looks like a decorative box from the back of the truck. He pulls out this like metal gizmo. He sets it down. He starts like hammering it into the sand to kind of like anchor it down. Kay asks if the Titan has moved since it arrived. Tim says no, but they're picking up heightened energy output from Titan X. So these readings have been going up steadily since it hit the coast. Kate's like, but do you know what it means? And Tim's like, well, it's the same energy spikes we see when Godzilla is powering up before an attack. So not ideal. Kay's like, is there any other reason it could be increasing his energy output? Any other evidence of aggressive behavior? Barris says, well, the fact that it camped up on the beach is already being interpreted as aggressive behavior. And if we wait, it could be too late. And Kay's like, too late? And Tim's like, what did the Secretary of Defense say? And Barris like, a fleet of 20 ships armed with nuclear-tipped Tomahawk cruise missiles are headed our way as we speak. And Kay's like, nuclear? Tim's like, what the hell are we? He's like, you realize she was literally on the beach the last time we ran this play? And sarcastically to Kay, he's like, how did that work out? Barris like, they'll be here in less than 3 hours. So, you know, this whole time Kate's been thinking, she's like, then we have 3 hours. And Barris is like, to do what? Kay's like, according to my husband's research, Titan X has followed the same migratory route around the world for centuries without any documented evidence of attacks. And Kate's like, until Apex interfered at Santa Soledad and knocked it off its course. Kay's like, figuring out why the Titan is off its course and getting it back on track is more likely to avert another Titan attack than a nuclear weapon. Barris like, hold on, wait, let me make sure I understand what you're saying. You want to save the Titan? Kate's like, it needs our help. She's like, I think I can get it off the beach and back on its migratory route. So this other helicopter lands on Outpost 18. It's Kentaro. It's like, this is a great use of resources. They're just, you know, come and go as they please. He just strolls down the hall. May comes down some stairs like behind him. She calls out to him, tells him that Kate and Keiko are there. And she says they're talking to Barris. Kentaro says, he's like, yeah, I know. And then May's like, you want to talk about Thailand? He's like, what about it? And May's like, I don't know. You randomly went to Thailand and what, you hung out with no one? So he's like, her name is Isabel. And May's like, okay, who's Isabel? Am I supposed to? Isabel Simmons. And she's like, what? Do you mean you went to Thailand with Isabel Simmons? You're just not going to tell me? Daughter of Walter Simmons, the founder of Apex Cybernetic? Yes, because I knew you would assume it had something to do with Apex. And she's like, yeah, does it not? He's like, no, she's not that bad. She actually hates Apex just as much as we do. He like walks away. Then he like turns, he's like, just leave it, okay? It was just a visit, nothing more. I was like, okay, really? Barris asks Kate, how does she know it needs her help? And he's like, did you talk to it? And Kate's like, I can't explain it, but it's a sense. He's like, a sense. And she's like, yes. Kate's like, Kate knew that the Titan was lost even before we knew it was off its migratory route. And he's like, oh. And Kate continues, she's like, even before Monarch knew that it was missing, and that is not data I am willing to dismiss. Barris is like, okay, listen, we have a known threat. We know its location. We finally have the opportunity to deal with it, and you want us to hold fire based off a feeling that it needs our help? Tim's like, Monarch has always tried to find improbable solutions to impossible problems. It kind of feels like we're staring at a textbook case right now. Kate's like, you said we have 3 hours. All you're risking are 2 randas that you want hauled off to asset management anyways. Tim's like, you said you wanted answers. You said there were too many I don't knows in this situation. Maybe they can help us. you've got to at least let her try to get it back on track. Barrett's like, or maybe they can make the situation worse. Have you considered that? So Tim walks with the Randas saying that he hopes that they're up for this. They're prepping a chopper to take them ashore. So it takes about 20 minutes, half-hour flight time, and they're on the ground with 2 hours and change. Then things get awkward because they run into May and stupid Kentaro. So to him, she's like, hey. And he nods, he's like, hey. Tim's like, feel the love. He's like, let's get ready. So Kate walks past May without saying anything. Kentaro, he goes into his room. He looks at a picture of him and his dad when he was little. And then the idiot picks up a phone, his phone. So Isabel asks, she's like, are you there? He's like, I'm here. So what, is he going to spy for her? Is he going to sabotage something? It's like, what are you doing? Shaw opens a box with this little dish thing to hook it onto the device. He works on assembling everything. It's pointed out to the sea. And he says something like, come get some, boy. Or I don't know. I remember it was something like that. So it starts pulsing and he drives away. So Kate runs into Kentaro again and asks if they can talk. Sure. And she's like, what you said at the funeral? It's okay if you're not okay with me. He's like, I'm fine. And she's like, or with what happened at Santa Soledad. Kate, I'm fine. So he starts walking past her. He's like, I just sometimes have dreams about Dad. And she's like, good dreams? He's like, no. And she's like, you don't have to do this to come with us and see the Titan. He's like, don't say that. And she's like, what? Don't say that this isn't my mission too. We have to stop Titan X from killing anyone else, which means getting it away from here. I think Kate's in and she's like, I'm saving it. And he's like, whatever. So up top, they get in the chopper. Tim is in a control area. May comes up and says that she needs to speak to Holland, to Brenda. And he looks at her, and May says that Apex is up to something. She's like, Isabel Simmons reached out to Kentaro in Tokyo, and Kentaro is saying that it's nothing. He literally just got back from seeing Isabel in Thailand. Tim's like, you don't trust Kentaro? And May's like, no, I don't trust the Simmons. I think about what happened to her. She every second of every day, she's like, Tim, I can't just sit back and wait for something else to go bad. And he's like, Hiroshi used to say, we're in the monster business, so any mistake is going to be huge, but you don't back up. You learn from your mistakes and you do better. And she's like, no poop. And he's like, hey, no poop. He's like, if you think there's a risk, then you should pursue it. I'll cover for you. Better get going. I'll make arrangements. So Chopper with the Randa just gets close. They can see Titan X, and Kentaro won't look at it because it's like this thing killed his dad. Shaw looks at Titan X. It's still thrashing about. There's all these birds flying around it. So it's what's going on? Then he sees his chopper coming. He's like, the hell? Kate looks down at the beach. Then birds start flying into the chopper. So an alarm goes off. Tons of birds. Obviously, it's going to mess up the motors and everything like that. Shaw sees the chopper starting to get like smoke and wobble about and everything like that. And it goes down, crashes into the sand. Tim runs down to someone at a computer. He's like, are they okay? Are they on the ground? So this lady is trying to get them to respond. There's no signal, it says on the screen. And then finally they respond. They say that they had a hard landing, location and need immediate evac. And she says, roger that, evac on the way. So now somewhere in the South Pacific, underwater, there's a glow of a light. Is that a rift? Then Godzilla opens his eye. So he's on his way. Shaw heads towards where the chopper went down. He sees Kay walking. He runs to her. He's like, Kay, Jesus, what the hell? Are you all right? She's like, I'm all right. How about everyone else? Hey. And she whispers, she's like, they're okay. Shaw's like, I didn't know it was you. I just poop. It's like, why? What are you doing here, Kay? And she's like, what are you doing here, Lee? And Kate, Kentaro, and two pilots start coming over to Dune towards them. May arrives at Monarch Asset Management, undisclosed location. So I guess this is their illegal jail, unofficial jail or whatever. I guess that's what asset management is. So she's looking for Brenda. She goes down this hall and she's let in her room. There's bars on the window. Brenda's sitting at a table. It's almost like an interrogation table, but it's just a plain table. There's a file cabinet in the corner. There's a bulletin board leaning against the wall, and the rest of the room is empty. So she glances over her shoulders when May enters. May sits and Brenda's like, you move fast. Took you, 2 days to make it through the ranks at Monarch? And May's like, no, they gave me a pass to come talk to you. And then she's like, are you okay? And May's like, yeah, I am. Are you okay? And Brenda just pauses and she's like, how can I help? May's like, I was going through your transcripts. I saw that you've been claiming that you went against Apex protocols Brenda, why are you lying? I am here to make sure Monarch has all the information they need to assess events that took place on Santa Soledad. I am cooperating. May's like, come on, I've been in a room like this before, lying because I was afraid of what would happen if I told the truth. Is it the same for you? Is that the condition that they put in your golden parachute? And Brenda's like, you are right, Cora. I went too far. My ambition got ahead of me, and I am responsible for what happened on Santa Soledad. And May's like, you're not the only one who's responsible. I am accountable for my actions, Cora. And she calls out, can we get some water, please? Not tap. And then she leans forward and quietly is like, please let this go. And May's like, what does Walter Simmons' daughter want with Kentaro Randa? And Brenda, like, she has this confused look on her face. She's like, what? Titan X is still in the sands. Thrashing is stopped. Kate's like, it's so still. Kentaro comes up next to her, and she hears Shaw talking to Kay. He's like, I'm just saying, you don't want to be here because the bait's already been set. And he asks one of the pilots to have evac on the way, and the dude says that they're scrambling to get another bird in the air. He's like, well, you better hope it gets here long before Godzilla does. And Kay's like, there has to be more than one way to deal with this Titan, Lee. He's like, I'm sure there is, Kay, but right now, I'll take Godzilla. So she asks a pilot if they still have time before the naval fleet arrives, correct? And he's like, correct. Shaw's like, naval fleet? And she's like, yes, Lee. The U.S. military also has plans to destroy the Titan, and Kate and I are going to do what we came here to do before they arrive. So Shaw says to the pilot, he's like, you might want to get on the horn and tell Monarch to tell that fleet to stand down, because when Godzilla gets here, whatever they're planning won't work to destroy a Titan, let alone two. So they head back to the chopper to go to the radio. He's like, and what exactly is it that you and Kate are planning to do? Kay's like, try to get Titan X back on its migratory routes. He's like, there we go. Save a Titan. And Kay's like, is what you're trying to do any better? He's like, look, Kay, this isn't the 1950s. The world has changed. Humanity's relationship with the Titans changed forever on G-Day. You just missed it. And Kate's there. She's like, I didn't miss anything. I was there on G-Day. I lost people I loved. And Shaw's like, that Titan killed your father. And then to Kay, he's like, and your son. So I am begging you to please get as far away from this beach as you possibly can before that Titan or Godzilla kills you. He's like, I'll be waiting for everybody in the truck. He walks away. Kay and Kate look at each other. Then Kentaro's like, if Kate wants to go, she should go. She should at least try before the fleet gets here or Godzilla. Kay's like, you can do it, go. And Kentaro's like, I'll keep an eye on her. And Kay's like, go do it. She's like, I'll distract Lee. And Kate walks towards Titan X. Brenda asks May, when did that happen? And May's like, a day after Hiroshi's funeral, the water arrives. And she's like, well, that was very nice of Isabel to reach out and offer her sympathies. May's like, stop. She's like, what does she want with him? And Brenda's like, she has nothing to do with Apex. May's like, I know that you know. What are they doing? Walter Simmons isn't done. And Brenda's like, when I first met you, I underestimated you. I assumed I understood your motivations when you joined AET. I was wrong, and I paid a price. And May's like, yeah, I paid a price too. And Brenda's like, yes, because you assumed you understood AET, and you were wrong. And May's like, okay, let's just remind me of my mistakes today. Okay. And then Brenda's like, I have one more meeting with Monarch Intelligence, so possibly this will be our last talk. I wish you the best luck, Cora. And she goes to the door. We're done here. Kate approaches Titan X. She looks up at it. Kentaro stays a ways back. And there's lots of little critters scurrying behind them, which is surprising. They're lucky it's not attacking them. Titan X is barely moving. And then it starts, and Kentaro's he looks concerned. And Kate's like, it's okay. Titan X raises a couple of tentacles and kind of snarls at her. And she covers her head, kind of ducks a little bit, but stays there. Then the tentacles slowly go down. Kentaro tells her that she doesn't have to do this. Kate says that she does. Then Titan X, you see, because it has these double eyeballs, double eyes, whatever you call them. And it just looks at her. So Kay calls out to Shaw by the truck. He's leaning against it with his arms crossed. He asks if they're coming, and she pauses. So she's like, we should be working together. We both want the same thing. And Shaw's like, but we don't. At least what I'm doing is a natural order of things. This is how Titans work. And Kay's like, you know how Titans work? Nobody knows, Lee. It's been 60 years since Billy's map, and all we have is more weapons. We need to understand them to save humanity. Give me one hard fact. Anything that you've learned that allows you to say that with certainty, Kay. Just one. And she's like, I can't. All I know is that we need to get Titan X back on course or people will keep dying. Shaw like smirks and shakes his head. He's like, is that not enough? He's like, no. Not when you put yourself, Kate, and Kentaro in danger. No Titan's life is worth that. And she's like, are your convictions worth the risk you're taking? My risk, Kay. I'm the only one in the line of fire. Until you put all of us in Gorgiro's path. No. You did that. I was going to be out here by myself. Just Godzilla, the Titan, and me. Nobody else around. Nothing. You're not supposed to be here, Kay. Where am I supposed to be, Lee? Anywhere but here. And we see Godzilla swimming. Kate moves closer to Titan X. It moves its tentacles and shows Kate something. And she's like, it's a nest. Oh my God, this is why it's here. It's an egg. The Titan built a nest. So there's like some, I don't know, it's like maybe sand that like dug, it's like a dome, but you can like, there's like huge holes so you can clearly see inside, like whatever. And then there's like something inside this, it must be the egg that's kind of like pulsing. There's like the whatever light that like Godzilla and Titan X have. And then what does Kentaro, he backs away. He gets on the phone. He calls Isabel, which is like, what does he have, a super phone? How does he know he's going to even have reception here? So he calls Isabel. So basically, he's like a piece of crap spy or something like that. And he's using Monarch resources to feed her information, whatever. And she appears to be like some sort of airport because you see like this little plane in the background. She tells him that they're running out of time to talk. And she said they've pinpointed his location. So it's like, wait, who's we? And she's like, they have a whole team standing by. Have you located the scarabs yet, Kentaro? He's like, yeah, I don't know if my father would have wanted this. She's like, your father died because of Kate. And it's like, not really. But he's like, she's not a bad person. Isabel's like, whatever Kate intends, this probably will only end up in more death, more destructions. Listen, if this plan is not going to work, I need to know now. And he's like, so she's looking evil now. She wasn't before. Now I'm not, I don't know. And Kentaro's like, it'll work. The plan will work. And he's like, forget about the scarabs. Tell Trisop, which is that Jason dude, that annoying guy, tell Trisop there's an egg. And it's like, oh, Kentaro, you suck so bad. You're going to give them an egg? Shaw's like, where are they? Where are they? Kate turns and looks in a direction. And she's like, she's doing what she came here to do. He's like, damn it. So you get into his truck. Kate backs away a little bit. Kentaro comes towards her. She's like, the scarabs built a nest for the Titan offspring. And he's like, you're telling me that there's more of these things? She's like, I told you it doesn't want to harm us. This changes everything. This Titan is a mother. That's why she can't leave right now. She's like, Kate's like excited, but then her face starts to fall when she sees Kentaro's reaction. Then she sees something coming towards them. At first I thought it was like a boat. It's like, are these the people coming? It's Godzilla. At Outpost 18, they've detected Godzilla. Like, he's minutes from the coast. Some lady tells Tim that this is very bad. Tim tells Barris. Barris asks, he's like, is this because of Shaw? And it's like, maybe, but, it was also possible that he noticed that Titan X was off its course and showed up on his own. Tim asks, what's the status of the rescue team? He's told that they're 5 minutes out. Tim says, he's like, we don't have that time. And another person tells Barris that there's several unidentified vehicles that have passed Monarch perimeter and they're not responding. So Barris, he's like, get me fleet command. No one gets within 100 miles of the coast. And Tim's like, you need to hold those missiles. So 2 Hummers and a transport truck are headed their way. Then Titan X starts moving. Kentaro tells her, it's like, we need to go. Then Titan X gets up, roars. Godzilla stands up out of the water, roars at Titan X. It's like it's about to go down. Shaw and NK get closer to them in the truck. Shaw curses. He says there may not be a way through because Titan X and Godzilla, you see them on the beach, are facing each other. But apparently, Kate and Kentaro are on the other side. It's like, yeah, they could try. I don't know why they don't do it. Maybe go behind Titan X and go around them. I mean, it's going to take a little longer, but it's better than just sitting there. Kentaro pulls Kate. And then like the idiots in the trucks, they get out of their vehicle. Jason's there, and he radios. He's like, there she is, let's go. So, he's talking about the Titan. They take out these, I guess they're like two big nets. I don't know how, they don't show how they work, but there's a bunch of guys like carrying these big nets. And Jason's like, is that the egg? As Kentaro and Kate get near, Kate asks, he's like, what are they doing? And Jason just like walks past her, and she's like, Kentaro, what the hell is going on? And she turns and she looks at the men like rushing towards the egg. He's like, Kate, we gotta go. And she goes up to him. She gives him a hard shove. You lied to me. Gives him another shove. You're working with them? I'm not, but this is what needs to happen. Then this like big helicopter approaches. It's almost like, I don't know if it was like one of those double helicopters where, blades in the front and the back or whatever. So like, wait, whose helicopter is this? Godzilla and Titan X start to clash. They're like swinging their tails and tentacles at each other, and like it wraps tentacles around Godzilla. Shaw and Kate stop. They get out to watch the fight. Kate turns and glares at Kentaro. He's just like sitting inside one of the Hummers, and he like looks away because he's just like this big baby or whatever, a pouty baby. The team somehow gets the nets around the egg, and they start like airlifting it out. So that helicopter was theirs. Titan X sees the egg being taken, maybe, whatever, and Godzilla starts to power up. And Jason's eyes go big, and then Godzilla like unleashes, and it's like, wait, did Jason get caught in the blast? I mean, if so, too bad, so sad. But I'm pretty sure he's gone. I didn't rewind it to watch it again, and I should have, but I'm pretty sure you see, like he's just destroyed. Then Shaw's like, Jesus, did that get them? Kay's looking through binoculars, and she's like, they're safe. So Kate's in a Hummer as well, and they're driving off. Shaw tells her, he's like, come on. Titan X turns away from Godzilla and tries like going after the egg. And that is the end of the episode. It's like, oh my gosh. I was like trying to catch my breath. It was just, yeah, crazy. So, yeah, I don't know. So they mentioned before, like the imposters. So is Isabel like have her own group? And was Jason working for her the whole time when he said that they were Apex, but they weren't? Then it makes you wonder, is like, how much resources does she have? If she's got like her own team, because she made it sound like, she didn't have all this. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But actually, the next episode is 209 is out right now. But we'll talk about that next week. All right, Daredevil, Born Again, Season 2, Episode 6, Requiem. This is the episode I've been waiting for one reason. You'll find out. Things are definitely happening. So we see Fisk. He's sitting. His head is in his hands. Vanessa's body's lying on the bed still. Then that doctor comes in, and I'm like, dude, you don't want to be there. He's like, they say that love beyond the world cannot be separated by it. Death cannot kill what never dies. He's like, I'm deeply sorry for your loss, Mr. Fisk. Even in her final moments, she was the brightest of lights. Take solace in knowing that she is at rest now. It's like, okay, you normally say stuff like this to someone? He just lost his wife, the love of his life. And, sure, he doesn't understand how intense, Kingpin is, but it's, I don't know. If it were me, the last thing I want to hear is someone saying, oh, they're at rest. It's like, no, I'm going to be thinking about this person that I care so much about is gone. So then what does he do? He puts his hand on Fisk's shoulder. And Fisk, he's kind of been like in a daze, whatever. But as soon as that happens, he immediately turns and looks at the doctor's hand. And the doctor, he continues. He's like, gone to the beautiful darkness that awaits us all. So Fisk, he stands up now. It has been a sad honor accompanying you on this journey, Mr. Fisk. And then what does this doctor do? He opens his arms to like offer an embrace. And Fisk, he almost looks confused because, he's kind of sad. He's a little broken. And then he puts his arm around him. And then what's he do? Guess what? It's coming. he gives a hard squeeze, and the doctor like groans like, Mr. Fisk. He's like starts choking. Fisk continues squeezing, and then you hear something like pops and stuff like that, and he just drops the body, and like blood's just like dripping out of his mouth. And then Fisk like turns, he looks at Vanessa's body, gives her a kiss on the forehead, walks out of the room. Buck's standing right outside the door. Fisk just like looks at him, just leaves, and then Buck goes into the room, closes the door, knowing he has to clean this up now. And it's like, how do you explain this? This doctor was brought in. I don't know if he was like normally there, or if he was just brought in because he was supposed to be the best in his field, and then all of a sudden he just disappears. I mean, what are you going to make it look like? I don't know, he got mugged or something, going out for a cup of coffee? I don't know. So then there's like a funeral at some big church, cathedral, whatever. Everyone's wearing black, but of course Fisk is wearing white because it's like just so egotistical. It's like, oh, I want to stand out. I want to be pure or whatever. I'm sure there's more reason from when he bought the painting. I don't remember the details, but it's just like whatever. And it looks like the whole police force, there's a bunch of people there, lots of task force jerks. The priest, he's talking in Latin, and we see at their hideaway place, Matt and Karen are like just standing there, Bullseye's like lying. He's out, he's recovering. And we see, all this, this is happening while the priest is still like talking. Mr. Charles walks into the warehouse with some men, and it looks like all his stuff has been moved already. And someone's like, there's nothing here. And Charles kind of like chuckles and he kind of shakes his head. So the stuff's been moved to another location, and it's now being unloaded by the task force jerks. Powell's there, of course. He opens a box with the guns. He says to himself, maybe, "Thank you, Mr. Fisk." It's like, whatever, dude. Fisk stands. He puts this like red rose on the top of Vanessa's coffin. It's like, dude, it's not going to stay on there. As soon as they move it, whatever. And he thinks back to some time with her. He slowly walks through the cathedral and out the back of the cathedral. It's like, is the ceremony over? Service, whatever. Then it cuts to the suburbs, and we see some little girl playing in her like living room with some stuff, and someone's with her, but we don't see who. An SUV pulls up like in a driveway, and some armed dudes in like civilian clothing, they exit. So it's not task force guys. The woman, she goes out the back door, and then you hear a dude yell, "Hey, there she is!" Ugh! And then there's like commotion going outside, but we can't see what's happening. And it looks like a flash grenade or something gets thrown in through an open window where the girl is. It's like one of those like kind of cylinder things. So the little girl, she picks it up, and it's like beeping. But you see bodies are, obviously you know who it is, right? I'm not going to say who it is yet. Bodies are flying around. You see them like going around the windows. Like you hear grunts and groans and stuff like that. The girl, she's like waving this thing around like it's a wand as it's beeping. And then she starts like shaking it to try to figure out what it is or something like that. Then the woman comes back inside. We still can't see her face. The closed caption gives away who it is because she's like, "Honey, this is not a toy." And then she like kneels down. "It's Jessica Jones, finally." And she clicks it and it stops beeping. And then she smiles. So Jessica Jones has a daughter, which, in the comics, we knew that. But, did she get pregnant in the last season? I don't remember. But she has a kid now. Then we see Soledad put some staples on Bullseye's side because Rosario Dawson's not available. She's a night nurse, but she's not here anymore. I don't remember what happened to her. So Soledad says that, he's lost a lot of blood, but she got the bullet out. If he can, keep it clean and prevent infection, which is a big if, he should be fine. Karen kind of like shakes her head. Daredevil thanks her. Soledad says that, she's doing her best here, but he could really use a hospital. Daredevil says that he's like, that would sign his death warrant. And Karen's like, well, maybe we should. He's like, Karen. And she's like, I'm not behind this. He should be dead or in one of Fisk's dungeons, not here. Angela's like, she's right. She's like, the whole city is popping off because of what he did. And Daredevil's like, it was an accident. And Karen's like, this time. So then Karen asks Angela, like, what's going on out there? Angela says a lot of people are crying their eyes out, throwing thoughts and prayers about the mayor's wife. And Karen says, like, but not everyone. And Angela says, like, not even close. She's like, even more people are pissed and not at him. The raids and people are disappearing. It's worse than ever. There's a lot of talk about the vigil at City Hall, like our people, and then Soledad says that it sounds like trouble. So Karen says to Angela that she needs her to promise that she's gonna stay low, and that she's gonna promise to stay safe. Okay, Angela sighs and she turns away. She didn't promise, but so did they leave, Angela and Soledad. So Daredevil takes off his mask. He asks Karen if there's any news from Christophe, and she's like, no. So I think now that when I was watching it, it's like, okay, so it must have been Christophe's body that Buck wanted Daniel to help him with. Because I was like, whose body is that? It's like somebody in a plastic bag, so it's got to be him. So she's like, no, but her source should drop the Red Hook testimony soon. So Matt says that he'll help, or that'll help with the hearts and minds. And she says that they've got those. Resistance grows every day. Whenever someone gets locked up or disappears, it's not enough. They need more. And he's like, how do you mean? She sighs. She's like, okay, do you remember that night at the Clinton Street Church? And he doesn't say anything. He's like, he killed Father Lantom, and then he hurt you so bad, I actually thought I had lost you for a minute. He's like, yeah, I remember. And Karen's like, so you told me that you were going to kill Fisk, and I told you not to, that I knew how. He's like, yeah, I remember. And she's like, what if I was wrong? He shakes his head. He's like, Karen, please stop it. Can't you see that this is what separates us from him? And she's like, are we really still that separate? He's like, yes, we are. We are separate. It is not up to us to take a life. And she's like, I know, all right? She's like, I pay every day for what I did to Wesley. She's like, I still have fudging nightmares. But the difference is, I don't regret it. It was him or me. And what if that's what it's like with you and Fisk? Him or you? What if this doesn't end until one of you goes down? I can't think about it that way. And she's like, well, you're going to have to. He has proven that he will not hesitate. Matt shakes his head. He's like, this isn't you. Her phone buzzes. And, so she goes, so she looks at it and she's like, it's her. And he's like, where? And she gives an address, 310 Garnet Street. So he gets up and she's asked, what do we do about him? And he's like, vengeance isn't justice, Karen. And she's like, yeah. And Matt's like, I won't be long. He starts to walk out and she's like, hey. And he turns, but she doesn't say anything. And then he leaves. So I guess, they don't have to say anything, whatever. So it's Fisk, and someone must be having a wake at the mayor's mansion, whatever. Someone starts offering condolences, but he just ignores the lady, walks away. Heather's looking at a photo of Vanessa. Heather's being kind of weird. And she's in a daze. It's like, dude, it's not were they friends? They weren't friends. Were they friends? No. But she's acting like they're best friends or something. The governor says to Sheila, she's like, with Vanessa, at least I had a sense that someone had his ear. Someone could rein him in. I wouldn't have relied on that much. Pressure on my office is immense. I'm getting it from all sides. The raids, the task force. And Sheila's like, well, I don't see him budging, not after this. And the governor's like, well, he may not have a choice. And Sheila's like, what does that mean? The lieutenant governor, Gomez, he's talking to Buck. He's like, she said this was going to be her last term. And Buck's like, and then you get the nod? He's like, yeah, she promised to support my candidacy, yes. And he's like, where I'm from, the lady gets to keep the crown right up until the big man upstairs comes along. Gomez is like, yeah, well, where you're from, a spotted dick is a dessert. And Buck chuckles softly. And Gomez is like, this is not a monarchy, Cashman. And he's like, are you sure about that? He's like, you've waited patiently, haven't you? You've been a loyal servant. And Gomez is like, yeah, you're damn right. And Buck's like, well, why wait for the big man then? The governor says to Sheila, you once told me you'd never run for a higher office. And Sheila's like, I can't stomach the campaign. And the governor's like, what if I told you you wouldn't have to? So she's saying that they're going to get rid of Fisk and she'll be the mayor? I don't know. Because she's not there's no lieutenant mayor, right? That doesn't make sense. BB's talking to Daniel. She's like, so when were you going to tell me? And he's like, tell you what? She's like, happy birthday. He's like, I guess I'm not really feeling the birthday this year, I need to be here for him. And BB's like, I don't think you really can be. She's like, come on, all right?
what are we doing? Where are we going tonight? What are we doing? He's like, we're doing nothing, nowhere. And she's like, why are you lying to me? He's like, why are you keeping tabs on my personal life? And she's like, Daniel, it's her birthday. I put it on my phone calendar, you psycho. And she's like, I get it. Dude nights only, right? She doesn't mention some place like Flashdance or he's like, my mother's house. And she's like, seriously? He's like, yeah. And she's like, wait, that's really sweet. He's like, oh, well, I'm glad you think so. And then she's like, what if I came with? I'm like, BB, really? She's just using him. And he's like, to my ma's house? You actually want to come to Staten Island? And she's like, yeah, I do. And then Buck comes up to them. He's like, uh-oh. Miss Urich, lovely to see you. And Danny's like, everything good? And he's like, you do always seem to be where the action is, don't you? And BB's like, well, that's what journalists do, Mr. Cashman. He's like, journalist, right. Do you mind if I borrow Daniel for a second? Just a quick word. And she's like, sure, of course. They go in the other room. He's like, Daniel, you need to pull yourself together. He's like, what we did last night was insane. He's like, it was an order, and it is behind you, and you move on, okay? He's like, listen to me. Our little nature walk was the price of admission. You're in the big time now, and the big time will take care of you, if you take care of it. Daniel, like, scoffs. He's like, what do you mean? Like, what? He's like, our friend, Bibi. And Daniel's like, what about her? Daniel, I know you're fond of her, but I think you're letting it cloud your judgment. And he's like, well, she's not the leak. Okay, and do you have proof? And Danny's like, I don't need it. And Buck's like, well, I do. And more importantly, the mayor does. Sounds like you two have plans for tonight. Danny's like, yeah, but with everything going on, I'm just going to blow it off. He's like, don't. Have you ever heard of the barium meal test? And Danny's like, yeah, sounds like a meal plan or something, like paleo. My mom's on it. He's like, no, Daniel, it's not a meal plan. More of a technique developed by my former colleagues. In order to find a mole, you must first offer them something to out themselves with. And he's like, yeah? He's like, feed her something false. See if it resurfaces. You see, barium glows like a light in the darkness. Are you with me? He's like, I am. Good man. Oh, he gets like close in his face. And happy birthday. Okay, so they developed this barium meal. This is totally what I said when I'm talking about like the people giving information to scoopers. I was like, all you got to do, I said, James Gunn's in his office, talks to him. Oh, here comes Joey Johnson. You know, we think he might be saying something. And then you make up some fake news. You say something. Oh, hey, Joey, how you doing? Like, yeah, whatever. Can I get some coffee? And then Joey runs off and he gets on the phone with something. And then you catch him. I said, I invented barium meal plan. Buck. Fisk, he's sitting in the back of a car. His cell phone vibrates. It's Mr. Charles. He's like, hi, you stole my poop. He didn't say it like that. I don't know why I have my voice. I had a voice for Mr. Charles for I lost it. I forgot what it was. So he's sitting in an empty warehouse, like on an empty crate. He's like, so what? Just everyone loses? Is that how this goes? Fisk doesn't say anything. He's like, fine, budget. Whole thing's got Kabul 2021 vibes, and I do not need an Abbey Gate. So that's an actual like thing that happened. I was like, Abbey Gate? At first I'm like, who's Abbey Gate? But no, I think it was a place, right? He's like, the sad fudging thing is, I had really high hopes for you. So, hello? Are you there? Hello? Fisk ends the call. And Mr. Charles sits for a second, and he's like, I forgot what he's, fudge? He like swears, like that. So, this could be interesting, because I'm hoping Mr. Charles has what it takes to take on Kingpin. If he doesn't, that's going to be lame. Outside City Hall, people are leaving flowers and stuff for Vanessa. It's like, really? You know, there's all these steps. They're putting candles and or whatever, you know, on there. Some people, like young people, show up with signs, and they're like, let's light this poop up. And then they're like, don't cry for her. Cry for the people. Fisk is locked up. And they have signs like no fear, no kings, and whatever. Fisk, I forgot, I couldn't see the whole thing. Then Daredevil's on a rooftop. He's looking down. It's like a different task force facility, so it must be the new warehouse. Some footsteps are approaching. He doesn't turn. He's just like listening.
It's Jessica. You see like her boots and her torn jeans and her whatever cool jacket. And so he's like, "You hurt?" And she's like, "I'm pissed. They showed up at my house, Matt, with my daughter there. You said this wouldn't touch me." And Matt's like, "It shouldn't have, Jess. That's way out of task force jurisdiction." And she's like, "It wasn't task force. After you call, I did some digging, found out who's been running guns with Fisk and giving him all the cover." He's like, "I'm assuming a dozen different warlords in half a dozen countries." And she's like, "Or certain segments of the U.S. government." And Daredevil's like, "Oh, really? No poop?" And she's like, "A while ago, this guy called. Obviously agency. Obviously sketchy as hell. He was interested in people like us. I told him to fudge off. Not everyone I know did." Daredevil thinks, and he's like, "Oh." So it's like, who is she talking? Is she talking about Luke Cage? Talking about Danny Rand because no one likes him? That no one likes the actor? She's like, "Turns out Charles is mighty cozy with Mayor Fisk. And either I'm rusty or he's really good because an entire wet team showed up at my house this morning. They're worse off than I am." He's like, "The way you're breathing, you might have cracked a rib." She's like, "I'm fine. Poop happens." And Daredevil's like, No, it doesn't. Not to you." And she's like, "I don't know. After Danielle," so her kid's name is Danielle. Thank goodness they kept that. Everything's, the way it should be. So Jessica's like, "I don't know." She's like, "After Danielle, it just drops out sometimes. And then it comes back. I don't think there's an owner's manual for this poop, And then Daredevil's like, "How's she doing?" And Jessica's like, "She's good. She's a handful." And he's like, "Yeah?" He's like, "Look, I'm sorry." And she's like, "You owe me." And he's like, "Sure. I'm guessing that's why you wanted to meet here." So she's like, he moved the guns from the port. And we see like a big transport truck like pulls into the like hangar door, like where they're looking down on. So Daredevil like listens. He hears a watch that he planted in one of the cases. He's like, "These guns, Fisk was running them for this guy, Charles?" And she's like, "Yep." And Daredevil's like, "But then his task force took him?" And she's like, "Yep." He's like, "Okay." So she's like, "So do you want to cause a little trouble?" Cut to inside the warehouse, a task force dude. He's carrying like this little crate of guns, whatever. And then this other guy, he gets like knocked through the wall. There's like a big hole in the wall. Jessica like walks through the hole. And then like maybe like 6 feet, to the right of it, Daredevil like walks through the door. So it's just funny. She goes through the hole. The guy with the crates, he sets it down. He radios like, "It's Daredevil." Jessica grabs a metal tray of weapons or something like that. She flings it at the guy. He gets knocked back. He's out. Daredevil throws like baton, it like bounces, ricochets, whatever. Hits this other dude like in the head. Jessica rips the cover off this big long metal like case. She uses it as like a shield, and she starts like walking as because they got their assault rifles. They're shooting, so she's like walking, and she uses like a bat. She swats the guy, when he's like switches to a pistol. These two other guys like shoot with rifles, and she like ducks to the side. There's like all these like pallets of stuff, like whatever. So she crates in that. So she's like around a corner. They're like walking close or whatever, and she yells. She's like, "You don't want to do that." They almost reach her, and then one guy gets hit. He gets hit in the head by a baton. Jessica grabs the guy, tosses him back at the other guy. Daredevil's, he like climbed up over, jumps behind him. He's taking out these other dudes, and then it's like, okay, are they done? Nope. Move in. Some more guys arrive. They come shooting. Daredevil and Jessica duck. Jessica, she kicks this big metal canister, and it hits one guy, and it explodes when it hits like the wall. And then I got confused for a second because this other guy comes up to her, or Jessica takes out this guy, and then Powell is there. It's like friggin' Powell. Just like, this guy's everywhere. It was like, what is he? He's everywhere, and everything's failing. It's like, I'm surprised Kingpin isn't mad at him. So he's there. She punches him in the face, but then it doesn't do anything, and her hand hurts. So I'm like, wait a second. I was like, is he some sort of meta that we didn't know about? But then I was like, her powers must have just cut out. So he like headbutts her, and then he like hits her with the rifle stock, whatever. So she goes down, and then he sets down his rifle and he takes out a knife because he's such a douchebag. He's like, I'm gonna fudge and enjoy it. Like, he's gonna cut her up
Oh, you're such a tough guy. You have to use a knife. Ooh. But then she's like, I'm going to enjoy. And then plunk, Daredevil bonks him in the back of the head with like a bazooka. He's got a little like a rocket launcher. He helps her up. And then it's like, wait, is he going to use that? As a dude's like, everybody get out. The place is going to blow. And yeah, Powell gets out, of course. And then the explosion starts. But that was fun. Heather, she goes into Fisk's bedroom. And she like looks at a jewelry box. And she takes some earrings or something. She puts them in her purse. It's like, what, are you a klepto? And then she's like looking at herself, and there's a big mirror, and the voices are whispering whatever, all the stuff that she's, affected by Muse attacking her. Then she sees something, and it's Buck. He's like coming in, and he's like surprised she's there because it's like, dude, what are you doing in the mayor's bedroom? That's weird. And she's like, Buck, I didn't. And he's like, you miss her. He's like, so do I. And she's like, I lost a lot of personal friends, coming over here. But at first I was like, wait, why would she miss? Like, what is she like? I didn't realize her and Vanessa were such. But she's like, I lost a lot of friends coming over here. It's like, does that mean working for an evil scumbag kingpin? A lot of people are like, what are you doing? You suck. I don't want to talk to you. And she's like, I don't have a lot of personal people. And Buck's like, neither do I. And then she's like, looking. She's like, you carry a gun. The suit's supposed to cover it, but I know it's there. And he's like, it's part of the job. And she's like, I assumed you've killed people. He's like, Heather, are you okay? So she sits on the bed. She's like, the man I killed was a patient. He came to me for help. And Buck's like, he was a madman who was trying to kill you. What you did was brave, and it was necessary. And she's like, I don't feel brave. And he's like, what did he do? And she like gets some like some flashbacks or whatever. And then we see he like cut her arm or something like that with the knife. She's like, he cut me. And Buck's like, what else? She's like thinks back, flashback. He choked me. So he's like, on top of her, like choking her or whatever. And then Buck's like, show me. And it's like, wait, what? And she's like, no. He kind of like squats down in front of her. He's like, it's okay. He like takes her hand in his, and then like her other one. He moves like one to his throat. And she's thinking back to like when it happened. Then he moves her other hand to his throat, and she starts squeezing, and they like stand up, and he like starts groaning, and she's like panting, and she's like panting louder and louder, and she's thinking back to Muse, and Buck like whispers her name because I think he's kind of like dude, okay, that's enough, and then he moves his hand to hers, and she slowly releases, and she starts breathing, and he's like, you feel better? And she like exhales, she like wipes her nose, whatever, and she grabs her purse. It's like, okay, Heather, you suck. And you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Okay, and the thing, you are a psychiatrist helping people. I think you need to get some help first. She went through a traumatic experience. That's unfortunate, but it's like, come on, man. At the Staten Island Ferry building, BB asked Daniel if his mom's okay with her coming, and he's like, oh, it's fine. Then her phone buzzes, and she reads something. She curses, and she's like, these task force raids aren't helping, right? I mean, Fisk has sympathy now, but it's not going to last. And Daniel's like, BB, vigilantes killed his wife. And she's like, Daniel, I was there. Like, you were there. We saw what happened. Don't spin to a spinner. Because, they didn't kill her. Bullseye threw a glass thing at Fisk. He blocks it with his shield. The shard went into Vanessa's head. So it's Kingpin's fault. So Daniel like pauses. So he's going to do this meal plan thing. He thinks, he's like, it's not going to matter much anyways. And she's like, what does that mean? So he motions for her, get away from people. They step aside, and he's like, I tell you this, you got to promise that it didn't come from me, and it cannot be leaked. She's like, yes, totally. What is it? He's like, no, like seriously, like you and me, like friends, like in it together. She's like, okay, I've got you, 100%. You can trust me. So Daniel's like, he's not running for re-election. And she's like, wait, what? He's like, that's it, one and done. He's out at the end of the term. And she's like, wait, how do you know that? Did he tell you? And Daniel's like, after the funeral, guess his heart's not in it. After Vanessa, And she's like, holy spit. And Danny's like, yeah, holy fudge and spit. And he's like, come on. Powell and Cole stand around while other dudes are finishing putting out the fire with like fire extinguisher and stuff. Powell's rubbing the back of his head because he got bonked on there. Cole asks if he's okay, and he quickly snaps back. He's like, yeah. He's like, he curses like the witch, but he didn't say witch. And Cole's like, you sure it was her? And Powell's like, yes, I'm sure. And Powell goes up to that guy Saunders, who Karen, the one that Karen grabbed, whatever, knocked him out and brought him in their place. So he's like, oh, I heard you lost this. And he's got like the badge card that Daredevil used. And Saunders like chuckles like incredulously. He's like, yeah, thanks. He like gets in a transport truck before Powell can say anything. And Powell gets in and tells Saunders, like, scoot over. He's like, work side by side, or something. He says something. Bullseye, meanwhile, still unconscious. Karen's sitting next to him, and she kind of kicks his thigh. She's like, get up. And then he starts waking up. He tries to move. Both his wrists are like handcuffed to the bed. And then he sees Karen, and he smiles. He's like, hello, Karen. And she's like, hello, Benjamin. And he like kind of struggles to sit up. She's like, your staples, they hurt? And he's like, good. And he's like, are you going to shoot me? And she's like, probably. He's like, go ahead. Vanessa opened a window and I went through it. Your friend Foggy paid the price. Foggy for my freedom, me for Foggy. It's just an equation. And she kind of smirks, and then she gets up and she puts her hand on the back of his head, and she gets up close to his face. She's like, you know what? You're right. And she puts her pistol against like the middle of his forehead. And then she like, she's holding it there. Then she lets go of his head and she, cocks it, whatever. And he's like, thank you. And he like leans closer and puts like his forehead against the barrel. And she gets flashes like Foggy, and finally like Foggy lying on the ground as he was dying. And then all of a sudden, bing! Daredevil throws a baton and like knocks the gun out of her hand, and the gun shoots, and she groans in pain because it must like hit her hand or whatever. And then he like shakes his head, and he's like, I can't let you do it, Karen. And she yells, she's like, what the hell is wrong with you? She's like, you keep choosing the wrong people. Fisk, that's thing over people who love you. He's like, what? She's like, oh my God. And he's like, how can you say that? And she's like, because it's true, because you let them live and people die. He's like, Karen. She's like, please, just let me do this. Let me carry this for you. All you have to do is walk out that door. And he's like, what happened to you? And she like takes a step back. She's like, Christophany never made it to witness protection. My source never started broadcasting, which, knowing Fisk, probably means that they're both dead. You want to know what happened to me? I grew up. And she walks out. Barricades are up at City Hall to keep the protesters back. Task force dudes are there like to hold the barricade in place. Powell's there, of course. He's everywhere. He goes and checks on Saunders. He's like, asks, how you doing? And obviously, he's up to something, right? At Daniel's mother's, he's kind of embarrassed. His mom's like showing BB like some stuff. I think it's like some sort of like it's something she's selling, I think, or whatever she's doing is like some money scheme. I don't know what it is. It's like this color stuff. Like I don't even know what it was. But she's just like talking, going on and stuff like that. And BB's like, she's really enjoying her. And then she goes to get more wine. And Daniel's like, oh, I'm sorry. And she's like, are you kidding? She's like, love. And then she's like, where's the bathroom? So they go to the stairs and he like points her, the direction. Then he like looks at her coat hanging on a hook. Upstairs in the hall, she has her phone. She starts typing. Too true for the BB report. Fisk isn't running again. Announcement in a couple days. You're welcome. And she stares at a door down the hall with like a bunch of stickers. So it's Daniel's old room. She goes in, like looks around. Ma's talking to him downstairs, how she goes on about him, saying, Fisk knows talent. His father would be so proud of him. And BB's like, she's in his room. There's a picture of his father like on his dresser in a frame, like holding him as a baby. And then she takes her phone out, and she didn't send a text yet. It's still sitting there. And she deletes it. So she didn't send it. So lucky for her, because this was a test, and she passed. Later downstairs, Gloria brings out a cake, starts singing. BB's, joins in singing. Then it starts getting a little echoey, muffled. Daniel's just sitting there. He's kind of like out of it, whatever. And then he stares at BB and the cake. He closes his eyes. He blows out the candles. At the protest, people are saying, resist, rebel. And some people have Daredevil masks, which is kind of silly. It's like, is Daredevil the only hero? But that's the thing, is like, where is Spider-Man? Where's any other hero? There are no other heroes. No one cares that Kingpin's doing all this stuff. The governor is told, someone's there to see her. And the governor's like, it's after midnight. She's like, who's here? So the aide's like, my deepest apologies, ma'am. It was out of my hands. So in like the study, Mr. Charles is sitting by the fire. He's got his shoes off, a drink in his hand. Hi, Marge. And she's like, I told you to never come here again. I missed you too. Say, I don't think that's how the food chain works. And I don't think that the little fish tells the big fish how to swim. And she's like, I'm the governor of New York. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, all right, what do you want? He's like, that's the best part. Not a single GD thing. I'm here to solve your city hall problem. Daniel and BB get ready to leave. He has her jacket. He tells her that his mom, likes to leave the light on for the cat. And BB's like, is Gloria not coming back down? He's like, no, she's got a schedule. Chardonnay, melatonin, and then she's out. And so she thanks him for inviting her into his home. She really loved it. And his mom is a fudging legend. And she's like, happy birthday, Daniel Blake. And they stare at each other for a bit. And she gets closer. So it's like, wait, does she really like him or is she using him? Because she's leaning closer. She's like about to kiss him. And then he like sighs and curses. And she's like, what? He's like, stop, just stop. And she's like, what? And then he holds something up. He's like, what is this? I found this in your pocket. It's the Next City Without Fear broadcast, isn't it? What's on it, huh? Detainees? Daredevil breaking out people in Red Hook? And so I think it was like a flashcard. She's like, Daniel, please, just listen to me. He's like, no. You listen. You fudged me and you fudged us. And BB, the most messed up part about this whole thing is I don't even know if I can protect you anymore. And she's like, protect me from what? His phone buzzes and he pulls it out. Protect you from him, because it says Buck on the screen. On the TV, there's breaking news. Demonstrations have escalated outside City Hall. Manhattan is on lockdown with the authorities warning that it's becoming dangerous. Meanwhile, Karen is on the street. She's got like a short wig on, and then she pulls up just like a regular COVID mask, type of thing. And she's with, I'm pretty sure she's with Angela and someone else. So I don't know if it was Soledad. Because she's there, I think. Maybe she's there. And actually, no, I don't think she's there. It was someone else. Meanwhile, Fisk is watching from his office and window, like on the second floor. Buck enters and sees him, looking out. He's like, sir, I have news. Fisk doesn't say anything. He's like, the governor is pulling her support. A meeting is happening with the AG's office tomorrow. And he looks out at the crowd. He turns to Buck. But then a red light turns on, and people are like, hey, what's that? And you hear, my name is Soledad Ayala. And then someone's like, Ariana Lakovu, David Pulaski. So a video is being projected against the building when people are saying their names. I am a nurse. I am I own a restaurant in Astoria. I was detained and thrown into a cage for weeks. And some guy named Berto's like, Fisk, he tried to foreclose on my bodega. Some woman's like, they shut down my salon for code violations. Another woman's like, I couldn't see a lawyer. Ariana's like, I was detained for weeks, caged like an animal, beaten under the Safer Streets Act. Soledad's like, we were the missing. Some guy, David's like, the unheard. Ariana's like, and Daredevil. And Soledad's like, Daredevil freed us. So Fisk, he went downstairs. He drags a chair. He sits in front of a painting. I guess it's the one painting. It looks a little different, but it's like the plain painting. Outside, resist, rebel shines on both sides of the front of City Hall. Fisk is just sitting in the basement or wherever he's at. And then a shadow falls upon his head. There's horns on it. And without looking, he's like, I'm not surprised you're here, Murdoch. And Daredevil's like, I'm sorry for your loss, Wilson. He's like, is that why you've come? To offer condolences? And Daredevil's like, you know how we tell ourselves this is about the city, it's about New York? I'm not so sure that's true anymore, is it? No. This fight, it is poison. It destroys everything. We see task force dudes, and they're starting to get rough with the people. And Daredevil's like, the city, the people we love. And there's flashes of Foggy and Vanessa and Wesley. He's like, really? Who loved Wesley? And Daredevil's like, nobody wins. We have to end it now because I'm not going to stop. And I don't know how. And I don't think you do either. And Kingpin's like, you're not entirely incorrect. Daredevil's like, so what would it take for you to walk away? I'd ask the same of you. Daredevil's like, you leave New York, I leave New York. The crowd outside continues. Someone hits a task force dude and knocks him down. Karen was like, she's walking with two others. The Fisk is like, there's nothing to give to me or take away. And Daredevil's like, imagine if we never met. And Fisk like puts up his hand. Daredevil's like, imagine Foggy, Vanessa. He's like, no. And Daredevil's like, they would still, no. He picks up the chair, throws it at Daredevil. He just like ducks. Fisk like charges at Daredevil. He tries like an uppercut, but Daredevil just dodges. Couple more swings. Whoosh, whoosh. He's like not even close. Powell gets a call from Buck. He's like, understood. Thank you, Buck. He goes up to Saunders. He's like, weapons free, kid. And he's like, I know it was you. He's like, what? He's like, I know it was you, you Fredo fudge. So Fredo, like the Godfather. And the crowd screams from the gunfire. Cole's like shocked. He's like, Powell, WTF? And then Powell's like, fudging vigilantes. They killed Saunders. He's like, online, push those mofos back. So again, it's like, how can Powell just be such an evil piece of crap and just be fine with that? They like raise their rifles at the crowd, push them back. Inside, Fisk is swinging and swinging. Daredevil like dodges a bunch, blocks some. Fisk finally grabs his arm, and Daredevil groans, and Fisk punches him. More civilians are getting hit and beat. Fisk kicks Daredevil, grabs his leg, slams him against the painting, and it puts a hole in it. Fisk like looks at what he did, and haha, you ruined the painting that you cherish so much. Daredevil just groans on the ground. He tries getting up. Fisk he's kind of like dealing with what he did, and he screams. He punches Daredevil 4 times in the face. Daredevil like groans some more. He gets to his knees again. Fisk like walks towards him from behind, and Daredevil's like, is this really what you want? And Fisk is like panting, it's what we both want. On his knees, Daredevil pulls out his billy clubs. Fisk yells, come on. Daredevil gets his feet, he's panting, holding both clubs, like one in each hand. They both yell, they charge at each other. Both get hit. Fisk gets hit a few times, but keeps on going. He hits Daredevil. He goes flying against this like brick like column. Fisk like swings at him, but he moves. He knocks like a chunk out of the brick slide, and he grunts loudly in pain because his fist against. I mean, it's crazy. Like how strong is Kingpin? It's kind of weird. He moves towards Daredevil, but then he kicks Fisk a couple times. He hits him and he releases clubs on him. Fisk goes down. He throws like both against the walls with the cable attached, and I think they went around his neck or something like that. And then he gives Fisk a flying like knee kick to the face. Outside, so I think it was Javi, the kid that Angela knows that was at the food cart or food truck. He gets hit and he goes down. Angela like screams his name. Karen, someone like bumps into her, does something, and her wig ends up getting taken off, of course. So Powell's like, he's close by. He's like, push him back. Karen, she goes down to check on Javi. Daredevil stands up. Fisk like moans. He tries getting up. Daredevil has his back to him, and Fisk's like, "What are you gonna do? Arrest me? You cannot. Kill me? You will not." Karen tells Angela Javi's breathing. She's like, "Go get help." It's like, really? Who are you gonna get help from? And then Karen feels like, she's like holding his head. There's a bunch of blood on her hands from the back of his head, so that's not good. And then stupid Powell, holy spit, because he sees her. Karen fudging Page. He points his gun at her, and then she like puts her hands up, which is kind of silly, and that's where it ends. So who could possibly save Karen? Because Daredevil's inside dealing with Kingpin, and yeah. I don't. I mean, I don't think Fisk or I don't think Powell would shoot her. So was he going to try to arrest her and bring her in? So I don't know, but there you go. But then the thing is, like, that's all the Jessica Jones we get. We got to get more. I'm sure there's more, but it just, yeah, it was cool. But yeah, she's a mother. She's got to get home to Danielle. So that was Daredevil. Okay, then Star Wars Maul, Shadow Lord. So we got a couple more episodes. Episode 1, Season 1, Episode 5, Inquisition. So we'll start with this. I'm enjoying the show. I'm digging it. It's, yeah. I'm torn between the double episodes because, they are shorter. They're 20-something episodes. I always feel stressed, trying to watch them all in time. But then it's like nice. It's like, oh, we get another one. But, okay. So it continues from last episode, the shadow to Star Destroyer, it's hanging over the city. All these little like shuttlecrafts exit. People are watching from the streets and platforms or whatever. There's squads of stormtroopers are exiting the shuttles. Rook looks at the troopers with disdain, through binoculars. An announcement goes over to PA. Attention citizens, off-world travel has been temporarily halted by order of the Empire. All civilian vessels are grounded until further notice. An Imperial officer exits the shuttle with like a glare in his face. You must think he's like King Poop, or, like he's so cool. Devin and Paki, they exit their underground layer, under level layer or whatever. And he's like, they'll be grounding transports. We must find an alternate route out of the city before it gets locked down. And she's like, but Maul. And Paki's like, let the Empire handle Maul. He is no longer our concern. Surviving is. And they see like stormtroopers hassling citizens like out on the streets, asking for identification. At the station, Lawson stares out the window. Chief comes up to him and says, your droid really made a mess of things. And Lawson's like, Two Boots was just following his protocol. And she's like, you're aware that this is not going to go well. The Empire will want answers. And Lawson's like, it was my mission that failed. I'll take the blame. And she's like, what? Now you think you're after my job? She's like, no, Lawson, I think you've done enough. It could be worse. It's not like we're harboring Jedi. And he's just kind of like, dope. Stormtroopers enter. Officer calls out, where is Chief Kleist? And to Lawson, she's like, here we go. And she's like, who's asking? And then, I'm asking. And she's like, and who are you? Lieutenant Blake. It's come to the Empire's attention that an extremely dangerous fugitive has been wreaking havoc in your city. And you've been aware of that and failed to report it. And she's like, don't make accusations without facts to back them up, Lieutenant. And he like chuckles. He's like, we'll get there soon enough. I'm now in charge of operations on Janix until the fugitive is captured and those who withheld knowledge of his whereabouts are identified, beginning with you. So he takes her to interrogation. Lawson tries like stopping and he's like, now hold on. And she like hands over a blaster to Stormtrooper and just like follows him. Lawson moves, but then Blake kind of like stands in front of him. He pulls something off. He pulls something off his belt. I don't know what it was, like his comm or something like that. He's like, "Don't go too far, Captain." And then he like shoves a comm, whatever the thing, back at him, like in his chest. On the streets, stormtroopers are stopping vehicles, asking for an ID, and the arena ID is being checked. Spybot lurks around, like watching everything. He returns back to the lower levels, reports to Rook. She tells Maul that Imperial forces are spreading out across the city. Full lockdown is imminent. And she's like, perhaps we should consider relocating to another system? He's like, no, not yet. And she's like, is this about the girl? She tried to kill you. He's like, an admirable attempt. She will make an excellent apprentice. Stick to the plan. And she's like, yes, my lord. Vario asks, and what exactly is a plan? He's like, because now that the Empire's shown up and grounded my fleet, my entire smuggling operation is frozen. My syndicate sacrifices must be made. Sacrifices? Krim's dead and the Pikes are in your pocket? You got what you wanted, and I made good on my end of the deal. What do I have to show for it? You live. And he like sighs, like, that's a good point. I do live. Okay, am I living as your prisoner? He's like, now our business is concluded. You are free to leave and take your chances with the Empire. He sighs in exasperation and to himself, because Maul walks off. He's like, yeah, maybe I'll stick around. Who doesn't love hiding in the bowels of the city? He's like, kind of sing stone. Rook comes up to the other Mandos, They're like talking to themselves, and she asks, like, what's the issue? One dude's like, he's like, you know what the issue is? The Empire wasn't part of the deal. The other Mando's like, I don't mind the risk as long as the credits keep flowing. The first one's like, there's no chance of that now. And she sternly says, get back to your posts. Lawson's working at his desk. He looks around at all the stormtroopers. One comes in with like a data pad with the chief's picture in it. And, he takes it to that Imperial dude, Blake. Lawson turns, so it's like not obvious that he's looking. And he gets startled by Two Boots, who asks if he's all right. He has like 2 cups of calf. He says that his body language indicates that he is in some form of distress. Lawson's like, great detective work, partner. Allow me to assuage your guilt. I've already forgiven you for shutting me down without my permission. He sets a new cup down. There is no further cause to be upset. Lawson's like, you think I'm upset about that? Don't you get what's going on here? Of course. In response to my report, the Empire sent reinforcements to apprehend a dangerous fugitive whom we were ill-equipped to deal with. Lawson's like, and if they capture him, do you think they'll just pack up and go? I do not have enough information to make a proper assessment of that. Two Boots, you're smart, but you just don't get it. Blake calls the captain. He stands, and there are 2 stormtroopers right by him. One grabs his blaster out of his holster and then brings him to Blake. And Lawson's like, where's Kleiss? She's being transferred permanently. I'd advise you to be more forthcoming than she was. Troopers guide him. They shove him in like an interrogation room. He says he wants to talk to the chief, but they close the door. The holo of like Maul is still like on in the room. He sits and looks at it. There's like scratches on the table. Like, I don't know what that's from. Then someone comes out of the shadows behind him and puts their hands on his shoulder. Tell me everything. And they're wearing just like this weird, freaky metal mask. Paki and Devin are going through the city. There's a lot of security checkpoints. Paki says that they'll head out of the city and remain there in the forest until things settle. Then she stops, and he asks her what troubles her. And she asks, is this what their future holds? Always running, hiding? He says if it means their survival, they will do what they must. She says that it seems like a waste of their abilities. And he says that it's her voice that speaks, but it's Maul's words he hears. Do not allow his poison to infect your mind. And she's like, I know, I'm just confused. He's powerful. Together, we couldn't even defeat him. Yet, he made an offer for us to fight as allies. He seeks only to help himself. And she's like, I dislike him as much as you, but he may have a point about the Empire. Isolated, none of us stand a chance against him. The Empire may be our common enemy, but Maul will never be our ally. More stormtroopers get closer, so they start moving. Riley goes to the station. He tries to talk to his dad. There's like these long lines and everything. He goes up to one window. The droids kind of ignore him. So then he like sneaks in the back. When like one droid walks through this door, he follows it, or he just goes in there. He goes to like Two Boots. Two Boots like, what are you doing here? He says he's looking for his dad because he's not answering his comms. Two Boots says his father is currently being interrogated. And Riley's like, what are you talking about? Two Boots says that there's no need to be alarmed, a standard operating procedure in this situation. Riley's like, well, is that why the Empire's here? Two Boots says, like, I cannot divulge information regarding an active investigation to a civilian. Riley scoffs. He's like, Two Boots, it's me. You've known me my whole life. And Two Boots like, that does not change protocol. So he kind of starts like shoving him out. I will have your father contact you when and if he is released. And Riley's like, if? And he's like, go to your residence, Riley. You do not belong here. And Blake kind of cuts him off. Yes, he does not. Droid, why have you allowed this civilian to enter a restricted area? And he's like, this is Captain Lawson's son, Lieutenant. He was just leaving. See that he does and get back to work. Lawson tells the interrogator, I already told you, we walked into an ambush. Most of my team didn't make it out. Yet you survived. Lucky me, right? Paki and Devin continue trying to make it out of the city. Paki talks about a place where like ruins where they can take refuge, and once they make it out of the city, they'll stay there until the Empire captures Maul and lessens their grip, and they can find another way off planet. They're about to get on a train, but then a bunch of stormtroopers exit. They're like, have you seen this fugitive? They have like the holo of Darth Maul. And he's like, have IDs ready. So Packy and Devin move, but then they get cut off by a stormtrooper, asks for identifications. And so what does Packy do? You have seen our identification. I have seen your identification. We are free to go. You are free to go. As they walk away, another stormtrooper comes up to him. He asks, like, why did you let them go without seeing their identification? And he kind of snaps out of it. And he's like, hey, freeze. They start running and everything. They're like fighting and attacking stormtroopers. They jump across the tracks right before a train comes. And they duck and they get away. Riley waits at home. His comlink rings. It's his mom. He tells her that she needs to come home. And she's like, what's wrong? He's like, the Empire's here. I went looking for Dad, but Two Boots said that he was being interrogated. And she's like, what did he do now? Which is like kind of annoying. That's her response. So Riley says that something's happening, Dad's involved, something big. And she says that if troopers are there, then it's fine. It's to keep everyone safe. Whatever the reason, it's like, don't interfere. If they ask him to do anything, cooperate. He's like, well, what about Dad? And she says to tell him to do the same. She's sure that he'll be back soon. And she says that she has to get back to work, but trust her, everything will be fine. Because she's drinking the Empire Kool-Aid. The investigators, he's like searching the wreckage of the fight. So it's like, wait, how did he get there? It's like, what happened to interrogating Lawson? Packy and Devin are still trying to get away. They continue to duck and hide whenever stormtroopers are near. He says that leaving the city might not be an option right now, so they best find a safe place to hide and wait for an opportunity. And she's like, where? It's like, we don't exactly have a lot of contacts. He's like, well, we only need one. The interrogator, guess what, has a lightsaber on his back. You see this big thing, it's almost like it's like a big double one. So it's like, this isn't just a regular interrogator, is it? So he's feeling the grounds. He kind of senses the blaster fire. He's looking at the grooves in the wall. Back on the outside, I think it was outside the station. Spybot's moving around, looking and listening. Rooks somehow looks at footage of when Devin and Packy were stopped. One of the Zabraks is doing repairs on Maul's cybernetics. He winces, and then Rook comes in. The two Zabraks leave. Maul asks her, what is it? And she says Imperial Patrol spotted the girl and her master in Sector 27, so they didn't make it out of the city before lockdown. And he's like, how fortuitous. Lawson is still in the interrogation room, and he's like, can I at least get some calf? Blake enters, and it's like, you are free to go. The Empire thanks you for your cooperation. He's like, yeah, I bet they do. So he gets some calf from his desk and his blaster, drives home. So he calls Riley. He's like, hey, Riley. And Riley's like, Dad, in here. Lawson's like, sorry, I'm late. It's been a day. He goes in the other room. Riley's standing there. He moves to the side. Devin and Packy are there. And Lawson, groans softly. He's like, you've got to be kidding. And that's the end of episode 5. Episode 6, Night of the Hunted. So we see Maul. He's standing in his lair. And then he starts waving his lightsaber around. He's practicing, moving, jumping, and everything. Probably test out his leg, make sure it's fine, and there's everything, stay in shape. Rook comes up and says that there's something that he should see. So she shows the footage of the interrogator. Packy tells Lawson that his son was kind enough to invite them in while they waited for him. And Lawson's like, great, tea time is over. You need to go now. He closes the shutter on the window. Riley's like, Dad, what's going on? Packy says to Devin that perhaps she and the captain's son could give them a moment. She's not happy about that, but then to Riley, she's like, let's let the grown-ups talk. Lawson says to Riley's like, make sure she doesn't steal anything. And to Packy, he's like, do you know what the Empire will do to me, to Riley, if they find out we're even talking to you? Packy's like, probably not dissimilar to what they do to Devin and myself. And he's like, perhaps it's time we explained. My name is Jedi Master Iko Diodaki. My Padawan, Devin, and I barely survived what could only be described as a purge of the Jedi Order. We were only passing through your world, but the arrival of the Empire has complicated matters. We are simply looking for a place to take refuge. And Lawson's like, there's nothing simple about what you just told me. Perhaps you have insight into smuggling routes, criminal passages, anything that could help us? He sighs. He's like, look, I'm no friend of the Empire, believe me, but I've got a kid to think about. I'm sorry. Riley's kind of like cleaning up his room, like organizing some stuff. Devin's like, nice room. And she sees a photo, like the Riley and his mom and dad. She's like, is that your mom? He's like, yeah. She and dad, they're not together right now. She got a job working for the Empire in Coruscant. But I stayed here, I've got school and a team. And she's like, what, like sports? He's like, you don't know Bodekin? You must not be from around here. It's pretty popular. She's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure my life growing up was a little different than yours. So Lawson's like, Paki's like, the Empire sent someone to interrogate me about Maul. And Paki's like, I heard one of the troopers call him an inquisitor. So it's a friggin' inquisitor in case you weren't aware of it. And he's like, what did you tell him? And he's like, nothing about you, obviously. They let me go, but I don't know if he believed me. And then they hear a noise, and then there's a red lightsaber starts like cutting through the door. It's like, really? You can't just knock? Paki calls out to Devin. He's like, we must leave now. The door gets kicked open, and then the Inquisitor's there. And he grumbles like, Jedi. Devin and Paki turn on their lightsabers. Riley's like confused. Lawson's like Riley. And he like opens the window, then makes him, go out there. They walk across the ledge because they can't go down. So Paki tells Devin to protect them. She doesn't want to, but he insists that she goes out after him. With all the fighting stuff going on, sparks flying, a fire starts inside. Paki gets like shoved back hard, and he's still kind of injured. He makes the lights fall on top of an Inquisitor. He goes out the window. Lawson and Riley, they're up on a roof now. Devin like jumps up, and a shuttle like starts hovering. It hovers up. The doors open. There's all these stormtroopers in there. Freeze! They start shooting. Lawson's like, they duck around like a big air conditioning unit or something like that. And Lawson starts shooting. Riley's like, Dad, it's the Empire. What are you doing? Devin says like, maybe the roof wasn't the best plan. And he's like, well, maybe showing up on my doorstep wasn't the best plan. Paki jumps up, tells Devin to go to the transport. He blocks some bolts while she positions herself to jump on it, and she pulls the pilot out basically. Paki tells Lawson and Riley to get it onto the ship. Paki hesitates, turns. The Inquisitor jumps up. More fighting. Devin, she kind of moves the ship around. She shoots after the Inquisitor. She doesn't hit him, but it gives Paki a chance to jump up on the shuttle. They fly away. And they are being pursued right away, but they manage to evade them, through some trickery and whatever fancy flying. Lawson says that won't buy them much time because they can track this thing. Riley says like, none of this makes any sense. Why is the Empire after us? Lawson says the Empire isn't what he thinks it is. Then the ship gets shot and they shake. One of the rockets in the ship gets damaged, like up on top. They get hit again. Devin, she has to make a rough landing on a platform, so they get out and they start running. There's a lot of stormtroopers at the station. Two Boots talking to that other blonde officer dude. He says the Empire appears greatly value efficiency, which I find commendable. Also, they are especially eager to share their resources. Look at all the support that we're receiving. He thinks that Captain Lawson will see that this was the right decision in the end, and he'll probably even be pleased. It's like, I don't think so. Then a bunch of wanted holos go up with Lawson's face. So Blake walks up to them. He sighs. He's like, Lawson is wanted by the Empire for treason. Use of deadly force has been authorized. Careful not to follow your superior's lead. And then he looks at Two Boots, and he scoffs. He's like, those are not standard issue, droid. Get rid of them. So it's like, what do you think of that, sucker? Because regardless of being a droid, Two Boots, that's Two Boots' his possession is his boots. It's what makes him different. And now he's got to get rid of them. It's like, well, you chose to call the Empire, sucker. Before fugitives move out, Paki says the Empire now knows that they're a Jedi. They won't stop hunting them even if they get out of the city. Devin asks Lawson, where are they going? He's like, well, I got someone who, might be able to help get us off planet. She's not going to be happy about it, though. So they go inside Soul, this place, his informant, whatever. And she's like, what did you do this time? So it's almost like a casino and stuff like that. There's, other like aliens in there and that. He says it's a long story. So she takes him to like a back room, whatever. And it seems weird because this alien she was talking to, it's like almost like he's paying close attention. So I don't know if he's going to call on them or if he recognizes them, or I don't know. In the back, so she's like, you brought your kid, huh? And them? She's like, do I even want to know? He's like, no, Rena. She's like, we need transport off-world. And she's like, where? Pocky's like, somewhere the Empire is not. And she's like, good luck with that. With the Kuhun's nest that has been stirred up out there, there's heat on everyone right now. And he's like, hey, I wouldn't come to you if I wasn't desperate. Please. So she like paused and she's like, I'll see what I can do. Spybot sees an Imperial probe droid go by, mutters himself, Impy's getting closer. And he's like, trashy droid. Then he calls Rook. She tells Maul that Imperial troops are somewhere like in Sector 9 or something like that. And she's like, you're going out there to save the girl from the Jedi Hunter. He's like, this is an opportunity. The strongest metal is forged at the Crucible. And Rook's like, and if she fails? She need only prove her resilience. And she will find me, her ally. So Saul's talking on a comm. Devin asks Riley if he knows this woman. And he's like, I've heard my dad mention her. They used to work together. She's one of his informants, supposedly. Pocky asks Lawson if he's certain that they can trust his friend. Lawson says that he and Saul go way back before he was a detective. He traveled around a bit, and she was a bounty hunter at the time. They got into a scrape on Catalore. It went as bad as it can go. He's only alive because of her, and she's only alive because of him. Then he sees stormtroopers on the lobby cams. He's like, Riley, it's time to go. Saul tells him, like, wait here. She's like, let me handle this. So she opens a secret like elevator, and she's like, in case it gets messy, run. So she like leaves her office, whatever. Lawson's like, I'd get ready to run. In the lobby, a stormtrooper tells others, like, fan out, search and detain. And she's like, may I help you? I'm the owner of this establishment. They like kind of walk past her. And she's like, did you not hear? Stormtrooper grabs her arm. She's like, hey, get your hands off me. She looks up at Lawson, like, he's like overhead, like at second level. And then she punches and kicks the stormtrooper. Lawson tells Riley to get into the lift. Then the door opens already, and stormtroopers like start to enter. So they, blaster fire starts, lightsabers are ricocheting. So he tells Riley to stay with Devin, and he'll be right behind him. And he hits like the control button to send them down. He's like, Dad. He like protests, but at the lower level, Riley asks, he's like, what about my dad? And she's like, it's like, we'll find your dad. But right now, we've got to go. There's like a bunch of stormtroopers. They're almost like in a parking garage maybe, or under. But there's stormtroopers on there, so they're moving about, trying dodge them. And the Inquisitor is there too. It's like, geez. And he like kind of stops and looks. Did he sense her? I don't know. Or did he hear something? Lawson and Packy continue to fend off stormtroopers. Then the lift finally returns. They go down. And when the doors open down below, there's like 3 stormtroopers in front of them. So they take them out, but a little ways away, some others like, there they are. So it's more running, more shooting. Devin continues like blocking while they run. Spybot managed to see them. So they make it to like this transport, like train stop area. And it's kind of deserted. Riley says that they have to find his dad. Then they see a red light coming down the stairs. So is it the Inquisitor? Is it Maul? She tells Riley to go. It's like, go. The Inquisitor it's Inquisitor. He starts attacking. So Riley like hops on a train, and he looks at them fighting as the train's pulling away. Then Devin, she jumps on like almost like at the last moment, and the Inquisitor, he gets on as well. So more fighting on a train. He like force shoves her back hard. Her lightsaber drops, but then she manages to call it back. The Inquisitor is like practically like right on her, and she's really only just blocking now. And he's like, where's Maul? Tell me. And then you hear, I'm right here. And so he like turns like, so it's true, you live. So then closed caption tells us his name is Merrick. So he's like, and then there's more fighting, but it's a little faster. Devin's watching, she thinks, and then she joins in next to Maul, because like Maul had her back to her, so she could have tried to take him out, but then she had to make a choice. Then they're attacking, then they're on opposite sides of each other, opposite sides of Merrick. So now he considers, he's like, you will all be dealt with. So fight, kick, jump, Maul and Merrick, they spin their blades because he's got the Inquisitor blade. So and Darth Maul, he's like, he could spin it. He doesn't need the cheat code thing that makes it spin. So they're doing this. Then Devin, they're separated. She cuts the coupling. So Merrick, he's like on a last car. He gets left behind. And then Devin turns her blade. She's like points it at Maul, and he just like stands there. Then he turns his lightsaber off and he turns. So she turns off her lightsaber. He's like, now that you have seen the face of your true enemy. Merrick boards the Star Destroyer. He kneels, holo call, my lord, I can confirm the presence of Maul. He is more dangerous than we suspected. It seems he is in league with 2 Jedi. How shall I proceed? And that is the end of that episode. So 6 episodes we're in. The Empire. It's like, how do they have so many people? How many stormtroopers do they send? It's just it's kind of crazy. But so it's we'll see where it goes from here. Okay, and now the movie feature. I feel a little weird doing this because in the past when I've talked about older movies, it's been on the Secret Podcast. I haven't really done that in a while. But as I mentioned earlier, Fight Club is coming out in 4K. Super excited about that. I got the Blu-ray Steelbook on pre-order. So it's coming out on May 12th. There's, again, limited edition Steelbook. So look into it. You can still probably pre-order it. Like, I don't know if Grub has it, Walmart, Amazon. So it's a new 4K restoration, so digitally and on disc. So it's going to be better than streaming. It's better than whatever you have. It's going to have HDR10 Dolby Vision mastering. Yeah, so get it, unless you just don't like the movie. So when was this out? This is the crazy thing about this is this movie, it came out in 1999, October 15th, 1999. 1999 is also when The Sixth Sense came out. And, both of these movies had these big, crazy, shocking twists that you didn't see coming. And I feel, not that they invented the twists in movies. There's so many movies that have twists. And yeah, sometimes they're still surprising and all that. But it's not that big. It's like, oh, there's a twist. Okay, cool, awesome. But like back then, it was just so different. So I mentioned earlier, I'm assuming the story of what Fight Club is. And again, I know I don't want to make this joke again. I know I'm not supposed to talk about it. First rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. But I'm talking about it. So it's just crazy when you watch the movie because once you know what the twist is, what's going on. When you watch the movie, it's crazy because it's almost like from the beginning. It's like they practically tell you. They're almost like screaming at you that this is what the deal is. This is what's going on. I also find it interesting, throughout all of this, we never know what Ed Norton's name is. He is just listed as the narrator. And so we have the narrator and Brad Pitt is Tyler Durden. So I find that interesting. Like what is actually, do we know actually what the narrator's name is? Is it the only other option or? But it's crazy when you look at, and then at the end when they like replay scenes that we saw before. So it's almost, again, similar to Sixth Sense when you find out like, oh crap, that's what's happening. So I don't know what it is about this movie. I don't buy into all the message about the anti-consumerism. Obviously, because I buy so much stuff that I don't need. Including steelbooks and vinyl records and just everything. But again, physical media, that's the key. That's the important thing. Now, I don't think I need to go through the whole story of the movie, but it's just interesting. Now, I guess what I should talk about is like, how does it hold up? I don't remember when the last time I watched it was. Every once in a while I'll like, okay, it's time, watch this again, and I enjoy it each time. But it's probably been a little while at least. I keep saying how time flies. It's just crazy, like, when you're like, wait, that was 4 years ago. That was what? So that was one of the things when I thought about this, when I was like, okay, I'm definitely seeing this movie. I was going to see it regardless of the podcast or whatever. But then I was like, well, heck yeah, if I'm going to see it, why wouldn't I talk about it on the podcast? But then it turned out it's like, okay, this is the movie feature. So it's like, can I make that work without saying, I love Fight Club, go see it, or whatever, But I guess the main things are like, how does it hold up? It still holds up. Obviously, there's some little things, some things are different, the way things work, and, things that are available now or whatever, but it still holds up. And then I don't know how it works, but when you watch something that has been remastered, I mean, this movie, it looks so good, like, especially on a big screen, you just see all the stuff. There's like the one part where like Brad Pitt's like, it's a close up of his face and it's kind of shakes and like kind of like the film like moves a little bit. And it's just like, it looks so good. Even like the opening sequence when, and you got the music from the Dust Brothers. It just, I mean, just listen to the soundtrack sometime. It's just, it all just works. And, I didn't even mention, it's David Fincher, that directed this. And you got Ed Norton, Helena Bonham Carter, you got Meatloaf in here, you got Jared Leto. So, there's a lot of people in here. And it's just crazy, like, what's going on in this. And, we also had, in comic format, Chuck Palahniuk, he wrote Fight Club 2, and there's a Fight Club 3 in comic forms. And it's bragging time, but I don't even know if it's still on there because it depends on the printing maybe. But on the back of Fight Club 2, there's a quote from a Comic Vine review quote. So it's my review. It doesn't have my name, it just says Comic Vine, but I was like, oh, that's cool, because I loved the movie, and Cameron Stewart does the art. He's a good art. Really, he's a great artist. So the style just really works. I should read those again. It's they get a little heavy, and it's like weird. It's like, wait, how can Fight Club continue after the movie? So you can check those out. I'm sure I don't know if they're still in print. They were released through Dark Horse, and I don't know how they are, but there's got to at least be like a digital copy if it's not available, but maybe they're still available. So it's just, I mean, I don't know what more to say about it. It's just the whole story. It's and there's the typical things, I really appreciate the movie projection or the film strip stuff, when they talk about the cigarette burns, where when reels had, back in the day, you would see in these movies, you would see the little bloop, little beep and little like thing in a corner, little circle, because that's like the end of a reel. And one of the things I don't like what they say is that the projectionist has to switch to reels. My experience from working in theater is the movies come in metal canisters, and usually it's like 2 metal canisters, and they might have 5 or 6 reels on there. And then what they do is they have to splice these 6 different reels or whatever into one big giant. On the projection, the projector, they have this huge reel. It's not even a reel. It's like a dish, like a plat. It's a horizontal. So the movie's put on there, and it goes from one big thing through the projector onto the one underneath. And then when the movie's over, you thread it back up, and it goes from the bottom up to the other. So it just goes back and forth. But you have to splice it between. The interesting thing is, it's like, and I guess you would see where the tape is, because you use like whatever special splicing tape, and because when the movie's leaving, you have to cut it back up and put it back into the separate reels, and then the movies are picked up. And those canisters were friggin' heavy. Because I remember there's times it's like, hey, can you run this up or whatever, or can you run this down, set it by the door, and yeah. So that's a whole different scenario. The other thing, obviously, I'm sure if you've watched the movie, there's times where like before we meet Tyler, he like flickers on screen for like a split second, and this probably has to go back to what Tyler would do in the theater, which is so horrible, where he would splice like a pornography image in like a family movie, and there's like he put like a frame of a giant penis, whatever, and and there's a family watching a movie, and then like you hear or something like some quick thing, and the mom kind of like looks over at her kids, and she's like, "Wait, did I just see that? Was that there?" And she looked at the kids, and the kids don't really say anything, and then there's a shot of this girl just like crying, because she knows she saw something, she's not sure. It's horrible. But you get these like flashes of Tyler. Because I remember that I probably still have it on my phone, where I remember watching it and it's like, wait, okay, I want to really get a good look at it because it happened so fast. So I recorded the video. As I'm watching, I gotta record the camera. Then I pause the movie, play back the video, pause the video, like scan through it, and then you see like there's Brad Pitt. So it's cool that they do that. And then just Ed Norton he's got his insomnia. He's going to the different like support groups and just acting like he's got all these different issues or whatever. And then they let out their cries, and then he's able to sleep at night. And that's where he meets Marlene, Helena Bonham Carter. And there's just like other things that are interesting, because then she ends up hooking up with Tyler Durden after the narrator starts living with Tyler because of different things that happen. And there's like the first night he's down in the kitchen, and she comes down, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And she's just like so offended, and she just like walks out. And then after he's like, you think about it, it's like, wow, it's like that. It plays different once like what is what. And there's another part where where Tyler's missing. Where is he at? And she comes up, and the narrator's trying to figure out like what's going on, because he's not being told like what this big Project Mayhem thing is. And she comes up, he's like, "Tyler is not here." And she's just like, "All right, screw you." She's like, because they're friends too, and the other stuff. And so it's just, yeah. And then just the fights scenes, and when Tyler takes the store clerk and holding him at gunpoint in behind the store, and he takes his license, and he's like, what he sees like a community college card or whatever like that, and he's like, what were you going to study? And then he's like, just stuff, whatever. And he's like, no. He's like, what were you going to study? And he's the guy's probably like pooping his pants or whatever, and he's like, oh, it was going to be a veterinarian. And he's like, okay, I'm going to keep your ID. He's like, I'm going to check on you. And it's like, if you are not enrolled, then he's going to make him regret it, type of thing. And then he like runs. He tells him to go home. He's like, "Run, Forrest!" And the narrator is like, come on. He's like, well, was that necessary? And he's like, tomorrow is going to be like the best day of his life. The breakfast is going to be the best meal he ever had, because he's alive. He's got new lease on life, near death experience. Now he's like, this is his second chance. He's not going to waste it. So it's like horrific, but it's like, okay. There's something there. So it's just, and just Brad Pitt, man, he's so cool. And his hair is just so cool. I'm so envious of his hair, but just the way he dressed, the way he the way he delivers his lines and says everything. And it's just, man, I could just go on and on about like all these, like why I love this movie so much. And I just wonder, like, how is it that great of a movie? Am I just whatever? So let's go to Rotten Tomatoes. I haven't looked at this yet. I call up the page, so I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Okay. Yeah, so here's, actually, before we do that, I spoil it for myself. Here's a crazy thing. The budget for the movie, $63 to $65 million. That's not that much. The box office, it only made $102 million. That seems kind of crazy. Oh, but the thing is, which I'll get to this, the Rotten Tomato in just a second. Because I brought this up earlier. I don't think, this came out in 99, I don't think I actually saw it in theaters, which is crazy. Because, I was a Brad Pitt fan. I'm trying to think. I saw Cool World in theaters. But, probably, and I think I saw Legend. Did I see Legend of the Fall in theaters? Maybe. I think I did. So I was a Brad Pitt fan, as like everyone was, right? But I don't think I saw this in the theater, and I can't imagine why I did. I could be wrong, but because I know I had it on DVD, and I bought the movie, and I remember watching it, and I was like, wow, I really like this movie, but. Maybe I honestly, and I usually remember, I remember when I saw The Sixth Sense. I still remember which theater I saw it in. And I remember, holy crap. So that's the thing. I can remember seeing The Sixth Sense, and it was the same year as this. So maybe for whatever reason, I missed it. I don't know why I wouldn't have seen it. So that added to the joy and experience of watching it now in theater. So it was just amazing. But yeah, it's crazy that I wouldn't have seen it. So the Rotten Tomato score, the critic score is at 81%. And that's based off of 248 reviews. Doesn't seem like that much. The popcorn meter is 96% based off of 250,000 plus reviews. That is a lot. So let's see, what are some of these critics' reviews? I shouldn't go through these. CNN, disenfranchised modern male has been the subject of several Hollywood films, but few have matched the dramatic punch of Fight Club. Arizona Republic, 5 out of 5. The movie is not merely the best of the week, month, or even year, but a singular event like the opening of 2001 or Pulp Fiction. You are seeing something brand new, and it cuts off. United Press International. The error in many subsequent interpretations of Fight Club is believing Tyler Durden's philosophy. The film itself rejects it. Okay? I mean, yeah, that's true. Tampa Tribune. Modern materialism takes a beating in Fight Club. So does its practitioners. So do those who wish to destroy it. So does the audience. But in this case, it's whatever. Cincinnati Enquirer. A literate risk-taking, riveting work of savage genius. And that's all without me clicking read all reviews. Diego R., an hour ago, was able to catch us on Wednesday, and man, was it a treat. Absolute masterpiece. 22 hours ago, King 8N, classic that deserves to be brought back in theaters. We'll admit, maybe it was my theater. Okay, that's cut off. Here's one. Connor gives it half a star. This is stupid. There are mice in Theater 19 in AMC Lowe's, Liberty Tree Mall in Danvers, Massachusetts. Multiple mice running up and down the stairs. So that's so stupid to give the movie a half a star rating because you saw it in a bad theater. Go on Yelp, review your theater. Don't give the movie. That is so stupid. Espo, a day ago, they cleaned it up really nice, much clearer, especially scenes in the basement and inside the house. So yeah, I mean, I'm still blown away. It's been a few days since I just saw it, but it really made my week. Because this was a long, hard week, and the main thing is I talked about doing negotiations. It's exhausting, it's tiring, it's frustrating, but this movie, just coming home and everything, I was just like, I felt like wow, and that's what movies are supposed to be. It takes you out. It's an escape. You just get into it and you watch it and you just enjoy it, and it's just such an experience. And I just love this movie. I don't know what it is, and I think I couldn't. And Ed Norton is great. He is phenomenal in this. Everyone is in this, but Brad Pitt, my God, he is just so amazing in this. And like if it wasn't Brad Pitt, I can't even imagine it. Just everything. I mean, this is like something that should be like studied. The way he does everything, moves about, and just does. It's just. Should I just end it here? I mean, this isn't a Brad Pitt fanboy gushing podcast from heck, but I love this movie so much, and I think I don't know if it's because of the twists and stuff, and just the stories and just following everything. It's fun times. So May 12th, again, if you collect movies, you need a 4K player. There's probably going to be a Blu-ray on there, maybe, I don't know, but I can't wait to just watch this again. It's so good. It's one of my. I would have to say it's one of my all-time favorite movies. One of my top. I never make these lists. I hate making lists. I don't want to like sit there and absolutely commit to like what is number one, what is number two. I mean, I will say Back to the Future is my number one. I love that movie. I'm not saying it is the best, absolute pristine movie ever made. It is my favorite movie of all time. Fight Club is definitely up there as well. It's got to be top 5. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and think about it now, but I just love this. It was a great experience. I hope you got to see it, and I hope you're going to watch it next month or whatever. But it just looks so good. So that is it. I mean, there's nothing else really to say. So I think we're just going to call it. So that is going to be the podcast for the week. So big thanks to Andrew Loken. He is a big supporter of the show. You can be a supporter by going to patreon.com/gmanfromheck. Any amount you can commit to will be awesome. If you commit at the Rick Jones tier or higher, you get access to the Secret Podcast from Heck, which is an additional 30-ish minutes of extra podcast entertainment every single week. I've been doing a lot of the DC Comics Silver Age, weird, wacky, goofy covers. I'm probably going to do, well, I guess we're still in April. I just did an Off My Mind. I don't have a topic yet, but we'll probably have one soon. So let me know if there's anything you want to hear about. But if you can't commit to a monthly commitment, you can also help out by going to coffee.com/gmanfromheck, and you can buy me a virtual cup of coffee or two. That is ko-fi.com/gmanfromheck. Okay, so what are we going to have next week? One thing I didn't mention, I really wanted to see Over Your Dead Body. So that's Samara Weaving and Jason Segel. I don't think it played in my area for some reason. I don't know why. It must be just a limited release. I love Samara Weaving. I like Jason Segel. How I Met Your Mother. Love that movie. Muppets. But it didn't show, because that I would have made that like the movie feature. And I definitely want to see that over Michael. But what about next week? So, next week, we're going to have more Daredevil, Maul, Shadow Lord, Monarch. I don't know about the other stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do about those. But the movie next week, this is another interesting thing. So we have this movie, Animal Farm. I never had to read the book in high school. It's so weird that like at my school, different teachers and different English teachers assigned different books. So it wasn't like everyone's reading Lord of the Flies. I didn't have to read Lord of the Flies. I had to read like To Kill a Mockingbird and The Great Gatsby. I don't remember what else. There must have been other stuff. But All Quiet on the Western Front. But it's weird that some classes, some teachers like we're gonna teach this. So I never read Animal Farm, and I don't know. It looks like it's a CG movie. Obviously, if animals are talking, all that, it can't be a kids movie. Not with the subject matter. And from what I know, even though I haven't read it, I'm kind of aware of what the movie's or what the story's about. So I don't know about that. There's Deep Water, scary plane crash shark movie. Who's in this? Aaron Eckhart, Ben Kingsley. I think those are the only people I know. I don't know if that's going to be playing at my theater. Devil Wears Prada 2. Confession time. I've never seen Devil Wears Prada. I know it's supposed to be like a really good movie. I'm curious to watch it, and maybe I should watch it. But it doesn't seem like it is a quote unquote podcast movie that we like, the type of stuff I talked about. I don't know if that's necessarily what you would want to hear about. So I could potentially try to watch the first one and then watch this one, but I don't think I'm going to do that. Then what else do we have? Hokum. That one could be interesting. I don't know if my theater will get that. And then that's kind of it. Let me just double check one thing. So what is the date? Next week. I should be pausing and doing this, but I just want to double check like what is happening at my theater. Okay, so we have Devil Wears Prada's One Spoon of Chocolate. RZA's Rizza's One Spoon of Chocolate. Don't know what that is. Animal Farm, Michael, Mother Mary, Lee Cronin's Mummy, Normal, Lorne, You Mean Tuscany, Faces of Death. That's still playing. The drama. I'm curious to see the drama. I'm not going to see it at theater. Super Mario Galaxy, Project Hail Mary, Hoppers. Yeah. So what I am going to end up seeing, which is weird because I thought I was going to miss it, but this is going to be another weird thing. We're going to do like two weeks in a row. We're going to have weird flashback main movie feature. I hope it's not a problem. I mean, I hope you're still listening. I hope you listen. But Speed Racer is also coming out on 4K, and it's playing in theaters. I was under the impression that it was only going to be showing like in IMAX theaters, and I was like, I love this movie so much. I can't bring myself to go all the way out to the city during the week to watch it. But the local theater is going to have it like the one night only. And so I guess we're going to do that. I think that was 2008. I think I saw that in the theaters. I must have. I mean, it would have been crazy for me not to see it because Speed Racer means so much to me. So I think that might be the movie feature, and I'm pretty sure I know I've done a secret podcast on it, but that was a while ago. So that is available if you're up on Patreon. But I think that's going to be the movie feature. So I hope that is not a problem. But there's, going through that list, maybe, I don't even think my theater is showing Hokum. I could try to see if another theater is going to have it. And I haven't even seen the trailer for Hokum. I think I saw something. I think I have an idea. It looks like it's one of those, like, maybe it could be a freaky movie. So I don't know. Maybe we'll add that. But yeah, that's going to be it. So I'm super excited for Speed Racer. That is also, I have that on pre-order as well, the steelbook for that. But that is going to be it. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed Fight Club as a main movie feature. I'm assuming you have seen it. But I hope you are doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourself. I hope you're not involved in a fight club. And I hope you remember, be good to each other.